5 months left, right? But she can't do a better job, but she doesn't know how to. And she's of a place in life where she wouldn't know what a better job is. Going to destroy our country, and as a result of Kamala's inflation price hikes, it cost a typical household a total of $28,000. These are numbers coming from government. They're not coming from me. $28,000 she's cost a typical household. Kamala's inflation nightmare continues to cost the average American family $1,100 every single month. $1,100. Again, government numbers. You're paying $148 more a month on food.
Yep.
Every month.
Every
Average
month.
family.
$700 got me nothing.
And her ideas, and Joe Biden too. I mentioned him, but he's sort of gonzo. It all started with the debate. I should have been a little bit easy. Somebody said your debate performance was horrible. I said, why? Because you forced him out of government. But I believe she'll be just as bad. I believe she's maybe in many ways going to be worse because he wasn't really a radical left, but she is. She's real. He wasn't real. So I think she's going to be in many ways easier to beat than Joe Biden. What they did to him was disgraceful, by the way. And it really is a threat to democracy. It was a coup by people that wanted him out, and they didn't do not the way they're supposed to do it. $129 more on energy and $241 more. This is all per month on rent. So you have that, 148, 129, 241, and then many other increases. You add it all up, it's thousands and thousands of dollars that she and he have cost people. The cost of a typical monthly mortgage has doubled
It's higher than
since
that,
I
Trump.
left office, and that number was about 3 months old from government, and now it's tripled. We have mortgage rates at around 2%, close to 2%, and they're now at 10%, and you can't get a mortgage. So that means it's a lot higher than 10%. I guess it is whatever they want to give over the money, and that's a lot more than 10%. So when you think about double, they've actually quadrupled or more than that. Think of that, quadrupled, which really kills the American dream for young people. Young people are being devastated by what they've done to our country.
Right.
Grocery prices have skyrocketed. Cereals are up 26%. Bread is up 24%. Butter is up 37%.
Yep.
Baby formula is up 30%.
Thank
Flour
God
is
for
up 38%. And eggs are up 46%. And many items are up at much higher rates than that. Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger, dramatically more inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act, by the way, was a disaster. It's what caused the inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act was a con job. They actually admitted that it wasn't really for inflation. They're running on the Maduro plan. We call it the Maduro plan, like something straight out of Venezuela or the Soviet Union. This announcement is an admission that her economic policies have totally failed.
He said he thought it, but then he realized it didn't work either.
Really a catastrophe for our country, and beyond that, a catastrophe in the world. A little bit unrelated, but not totally unrelated. We have wars breaking out in the Middle East. We have the horrible war going on with
Pakistan. The
all
Indians
these things would have never happened if I was president.
India are fighting.
Never happened. And they
I have
didn't
someone
happen.
over there that told me that.
Since Harris took office, car insurance is up 55%, and they just announced it's going to be substantially higher than that within the next week.
Yep.
They expect big increases in car insurance. It's out of control, and insurance generally. Thanks to Kamala's war on American energy, electricity prices are up 32%. Gasoline prices are up 50% and going higher. Meanwhile, real incomes are down by over $2,000 a year. So the incomes for people are down $2,000 on average a year, government numbers. The typical
government
American has
numbers,
seen a 4%
which means
pay
he's
cut
saying it's
under
much higher.
Kamala and Biden, crooked Joe Biden. Credit card debt has exploded by 50% under Harris to a record high.
I support the policies. This is not about Trump.
Since March, and by the way, people are going to have to start paying that, and it's not going to be a pretty sight for the next period of time. It could be a substantial time. Since March of 2022, the average middle class household has lost $33,000 in wealth. How about that?
Yep.
$33,000. That's average. In July alone, 350,000 people were added to the unemployment rolls. It's a lot of people. 350,000 people added to the unemployment rolls. And
well, Kamala is claiming to be something she's not.
July.
So who's the real racist?
Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. You know that? Most of the job creation has gone to migrants. In fact, I've heard that substantially more than beyond the number of 100%. It's a much
As
higher
a mom
number
of
than
6,
that,
it's
but
about my kids, and she
the
sure don't care
government
about
hasn't caught up
nobody's
with that yet. But
kids.
virtually right now, as of the time they did this, virtually
Nobody's
100% of the
kids.
net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants.
She not half black,
Harris
no.
gave
She's
work permits
Indian
and Social Security numbers
and
to more
Hindu.
than 3 million illegal immigrants.
And Jamaican.
To
And her daddy is an
steal
Indian
jobs from
Jamaican.
Americans. So think of
Hindu.
that.
Her mom
And,
is
they're having
Hindu.
a lot of problems with Social Security. I'm going to be the one to save Social Security, but they're having a lot of problems with Social Security because under their system of putting all of these people into it, it's going to blow up and fail.
Well, 3
If
billion
she's
of our
elected,
Social Security numbers just was
will
hacked.
fail. It'll be a blow up like you've never seen before.
Yeah, all of our
It'll
Social
be a
Security numbers just
bankruptcy
been
of the
hacked.
entire system, probably the nation itself. You don't have to imagine what a Kamala Harris presidency would be because you're living through that nightmare.
You don't gotta tell
right
me,
now.
Arabia.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And you're going to stop inflation, but we're going to have a crash, and we're going to have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. You saw a gentleman yesterday who got up, one of the top analysts in the world, frankly, and said that if Trump isn't elected, he predicts, and he's predicting you have a stock market crash like 1929. He also said the only time and the only reason the stock market has gone up, even though it had some bad moments recently.
Her daddy says she's not black either.
But I think we'll take a substantial lead. You saw the polls coming out today. We're leading in most of the polls, but you'll have I have a lot of friends over there. So. I don't think they're reporters, however, are they? This was supposed to be for reporters. Thank you very much.
Look at the food right here he got. He know what he doing with the food. He already know.
Thank you very much. When I left office, I handed Kamala and crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation. The 30-year mortgage rate was around 2%. Gasoline had reached $1.87 a gallon. We actually had many months where it was lower than that. But we hit 187, which was a perfect place, an absolutely beautiful number.
No, she don't have no African American
Real
in
income
her.
surged by more than $4,200 a year.
None.
When I was president, Harris and Biden blew it all up. If Kamala wins the election, the worst is yet to come. You'll have a real problem in the future because people don't respect her in the world. People don't respect her in the economy. Economists are laughing. They can't even believe this is happening to our country. And she wants to change a free enterprise type country into a communist type country. That's what she knows.
Perfect.
She's considered far more radical than Bernie Sanders. That's all you have to know. Far more radical. And she picked somebody that's far more radical than Bernie Sanders. He approved a bill recently, tampons in
the boys' bathroom. Y'all want tampons in the boys' bathroom? That's what Tim Walsh just passed.
But that's the person that she picked. Surprising pick to me. I was shocked. He's also got one of the worst run states. Many people are leaving the state, sixth most.
Her dad doesn't have black blood.
She destroyed, as the Attorney General, she destroyed California along with Gavin Newsom. And
we're listening to Trump. I'm ignoring these comments. We watching Trump right now.
City 15 years
Y'all
ago.
can
Now
comment, converse between each other.
Unlivable. You can't live there.
True.
And what they've done to that great state with the beautiful weather like this weather, they have this weather all the time. And they have the ocean, they have the sun, they have everything good. But what they've done to it is a shame. And she's going to do the same thing to our country. It was the policies. They had a recent article, and I didn't know this, but you're allowed to rob a store as long as it's not more than $950. Has everyone ever heard of that? You can rob a store, and you have these thieves going into stores with calculators calculating how much it is. Because if it's less than $950, they can rob it and not get charged. That was her that did that. Harris is campaigning on the largest tax increase in American history, including ending the Trump tax cuts, one of the largest tax cuts ever in our country's history, and working with families, a gigantic capital gains tax hike they want, and a new wealth confiscation tax. It's called wealth confiscation tax, which isn't going to make all of her supporters, you know, she's got some supporters that are wealthy people because they're stupid people, but they're wealthy people. She said that a 70 to 80% tax rate is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed and studied. 70 to 80%. She co-sponsored legislation to abolish very popular private health insurance, which 150 Americans rely on, dumping everyone onto inferior socialist government-run healthcare systems with rationing and deadly wait times while massively raising your taxes. She wants to take away your private healthcare. There are many people in this country who spend a lot of money on private healthcare. It's the best healthcare in the world, by the way, but they want to do it. They worked hard to make money and they want to do it. Under her, you're not going to have private healthcare plans anymore. And you can be a wealthy person or a middle-income person, and you want to spend on a really good plan, better than a government plan could be, far better. And you're not going to be allowed. You're all going to be thrown into a communist system. It's a communist system. You're going to be thrown into a system where everybody gets health care. You wait for your doctor like 10 months, 12 months, 11 months. You're going to see some of these plans, how they work in other countries. It's disgraceful. So private health care is gone. She wants it out. Now, she could change on that, and she might change on that. She's changed on everything, but I said, why are you changing? I actually was asking somebody that knows her, why is she changing? She had these policies and ideas for years and years and years, and very solid on them. All you have to do is go back and look at your tapes, which many have been discarded because they don't want, discarded by the fake news, because they don't want people to see what she said just a year ago and 2 years ago. I've never seen anything like it. Even my statement on waiters, waitresses, caddies, a lot of great people, people that drive cars, no tax on tips. All of a sudden, out of the blue, she comes out. That was months ago I said that. And she came out and she said, no tax on tips. She could have at least said, you know, President Trump had some great ideas, but one of the ideas was no tax on tips. I think it would have been nice, and people would have accepted that. But she just came out like it was hers, and she never had her. In fact, just the opposite. The IRS is all set up to really go after people that make tips. And they passed legislation and signed executive orders, making it really hard on waiters, waitresses. And that was very recently. That was just before I made the proposal. They were really going after people. So they're lying when they say that, you know, this is what they want to do, because their legislation, which everyone knows, and their executive orders were extremely tough. They also put 88,000 new IRS agents in that can go and harass everybody. She wants to close dozens of existing power plants, causing rollbacks of power in our country. You're going to have brownouts, blackouts, the likes of which you've never seen, and plunging millions and millions of people into poverty. That's going to put them into poverty, and they're not going to have heat. They're not going to have air conditioning. She wants to close dozens of existing power plants, so maybe she'll change that too. But she's got a lot to change. Almost everything she's ever said, she's got to change. Nobody's ever seen, and that's why we're here. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. She wants to abolish coal, oil, and natural gas, 84% of U.S. energy supply. And it's the coal and the natural gas, clean coal, I call it, and oil, natural gas that create electricity. And by the way, I'm a big fan of electricity. If we're going to go with the AI, if we're going to do that, I don't know if you know, but we need twice the amount of electricity currently supplied for everything to the entire United States of America. So to be competitive on AI, I was talking to Elon Musk. We had a great discussion the other night. I agree. And he said a big problem is getting the approvals to create all of that energy, all of that electricity, specifically electricity. And you're going to need that for other forms of modern business too. And I'll get it done, but other people aren't going to get it done. They're not going to be able to get it done. As border czar, and she was the border czar. She was, I don't know if she was proudly called border czar, but that's what Crooked Joe Biden called her. She's the border czar. Everybody said it. And then about 2 weeks ago, she didn't want to be called the border czar anymore. She said, oh, I was never the border czar. It doesn't matter. She was the person responsible for the border. And she never went there. She went to a certain location once, but I would have gone there and taken my family to dinner there. That was not a place that was going to the border. A place with no problem. As border czar, she allowed 20 million people, and I believe it's higher than that. People say 13, 14, 12, 10. But now they're all up to around 12, 13, 14. They have no idea because you have millions and millions of what they call gotaways, the gotaways. Gotaways are people that pour into our country. We have no idea who they are. That's the worst of all. But she allowed at least 20 million people to invade our country, and she wants to give them all citizenship and free government health care and let them raid Medicare and Social Security, which will, again, she will destroy Medicare, she will destroy Social Security. And frankly, there's nothing she can do about it once this happens. There's nothing she can do about it. She called for abolishing ICE. These are great patriots who are tough, tougher than anybody in this audience. Some of those people, I know them over there. Some of those men and a couple of the women, to be honest, they're tough as hell, but they don't want to fight MS-13. I've seen it. They go into Long Island had a lot. We got them out. But now they're coming back because of weak policy. And because of things that she wants to do, like defund the police. You know she wants to defund the police. Now, she has since said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. The one thing I see with politicians, they always go back to where they were. She wanted to defund the police, and she wanted to abolish ICE. I was going to say that these ICE people are incredible patriots. They're tough as hell. And they go into a pack of MS-13 gang members, the toughest in the world, probably the toughest gangs in the world. They come from different parts of South America, and they want to come in and in Long Island, not too recently, but recently, they carved up with a knife two beautiful 16-year-old girls who are walking to school. And the reason they used a knife instead of shooting them was very simple, because it's more painful. They wanted to watch them agonize. And these are animals, and we have to get them out of our country, or we have to put them in jail because we don't want them back. Sometimes you have to put them in because their country doesn't want them back. They'll send them back the way they do. Just so you know, I know all of the people that we're dealing with as the heads of countries, and they're very smart, they're very streetwise, and what they're doing is they're taking all of their criminals, and they haven't brought all of them yet. They brought a lot of them now. But they'll bring all of them. I'm shocked it's taken so long. If I were in their country, it would have gone a lot faster. I will tell you that. I would have gotten that too. And they're bringing them into the United States. They're taking their drug dealers and their rapists, murderers, and every criminal, bringing them into the United States. And their crime rates are way down. They're bringing people from mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States. And their population for the mentally ill is way down. They're in the United States. They're dumping them in the United States. They're driving them through a border that's totally open. We stopped them. We didn't let it happen. And when I first came into office, you know the story, that President Obama at the time had no way of getting them back. And I said, I want to get all of the MS-13 in particular out of our country, bring them back to where they came from. A general said, sir, that won't be possible. Why? Because they blocked the airports, they blocked the roads, they blocked everything. You can't do it. I said, so they're making a concerted effort? Yes, sir, they're making a concerted effort. We can't do it. They put planes on the runway so we can't land the planes, sir. And the same thing with the roads. They block up the roads. So if we have buses coming in, they block up the roads. They're totally blocked, and they're terrible. It's been that way for years, sir, all the way back to Bush. It's been that way for years. And I said, well, how much do we pay them in terms of economic development and aid? Sir, we pay them $750 million. I said, that's okay. Call them immediately and tell them we're not paying them anymore. And the following morning, I got a call from the three main culprits. Sir, I'd like to speak to you because I don't understand what the problem is. I said, well, you sent us gang members, and they send them. Remember that. They send them. They said, you send us gang members, you send us killers, and you send us drug dealers, and you send us horrible people, and when we want to bring them back to your country, you won't accept them. And that's under President Obama and all the way through. And therefore, you're in default. You are in total default of the money that we send you. And we're not going to send you the money anymore. You're not getting any of the $750 million and more. We're not giving you any. You are delinquent. You are delinquent in what you've done. And you're not getting, sir, please, can we talk? I said, yeah, we can talk. What? We would absolutely love to have MS-13 sent back to our country. We think they're wonderful people. They're not wonderful people. They're wonderful killers. But they changed their tune totally. When I said they weren't going to get the money, I don't know why these people don't do it. And the $750 million now is billions of dollars because Biden increased it very substantially. He thinks by sending them money, they're going to send fewer people into our country. How stupid is that? So they're giving him $2.5–3 billion. The 750. Not only did he give it, I didn't even pay after they made the call because I said, you've treated us badly for so many years. We're not going to pay you anyway. But now they're giving him billions of dollars, billions, much more than when I took over. It was 750. Now they're giving them billions. But they said, there must be an understanding, sir. We would love to take them back. And I said, well, you're going to get them back. And we started bringing them back by the thousands out of Long Island, out of Michigan, out of Ohio, by the thousands. And she compared ICE agents, these brave people, to the KKK. She said, the ICE people, the ICE agents, I compare them to the KKK. Well, they don't really, because, when you go into like Long Island, like Ohio, like Michigan, we had a lot of them. And you see these men, in most cases, the agents, get out of a van and walk into, they call it a pack. It's a pack, not like a political pack, slightly different, even nastier, hard to believe, right? But they would go into a pack of these killers, and all you do, I've seen it so many times, all you do is see fists and feet and hands fighting. 2 minutes later, they stand up and they walk out. They have them by the feet. They walk them out, or they drag them out, mostly drag them out, put them in paddy wagons, and they bring them back to their country. They take them back to the country, and the country is open arms now, open arms. And it's an amazing thing. For her to say KKK is very unfair, but she doesn't know. She doesn't want to know. And she's a very strong communist lean. She wants to end detention of illegal alien migrants, releasing vicious monsters into our communities to rape, maim, and murder our population. She endorsed the funding the police and no cash bail nationwide. She was the original no funder. And the only thing Kamala Harris can deliver is horrific inflation, massive crime, and the death of the American dream. She is in favor of the death of the American dream because everything she does really stops. Any one of these items stops the American dream. We want our youth to go back and dream of being successful, someday being really successful and employing lots of people. And you can't get up early enough. I gave up that life for a life of politics. I gave up all of these beautiful places that I have all over the world for a life of being abused by the fake news media. And yet I would do it again. Somebody asked me the other day, would you do it again? I said, absolutely. Why would you do it? Why would you put yourself through? They go after you. They weaponize government. You have to deal with crooked judges that are after you and crooked prosecutors. And the New York court system is vicious and totally biased and frankly, totally crooked. Why would you put yourself through? I said, because we're going to make America great again. That's what you're going to do. And it's very important. So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. We will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby drill. We're going to drill, baby drill. That's going to bring down prices of everything because energy brought it up when they went away from my policy. They quickly went back to it, but by that time it was too late. They lost control. But they've gone back to it, and if they win the day after the victory, they'll stop with all the drilling. But they went back to it because prices were going through the roof. They were going really bad. And that's what caused our inflation, and that's what destroyed the lives of many Americans. Energy and electricity prices, I will, by at least half within a 12-month period, we'll be able to reduce prices between regulation and having a tremendous supply, which we have. I always say we have more liquid gold under our feet, more than any other nation anywhere in the world, including Saudi Arabia and including Russia. We're going to terminate the Green New Scam. It's called the Green New Deal. It's a scam. And rescind all unspent funds. We're going to rescind that and pay off debt. And we're going to reduce debt. We took almost $10 trillion for nonsense, for absolute nonsense. We'll do bridges, we'll do roads, we'll do things that we need, but we're not going to be spending it or wasting it stupidly and have China laugh at us. I remember when, just a short while ago, Kerry goes, hops in his private plane, flies to China to talk about the energy prices and the energy situation in China with President Xi, who I know very well. Had a very good relationship until COVID came in, but that was a fence
inflation.
Too far. But we had a great relationship, and Kerry would go up there, and he'd leave so happy. But they don't do anything. They just talk. They said, "Oh yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, as soon as we get to it." In the meantime, they're building a coal plant every week. But now I hear it's 2 coal plants a week, and we're dying for energy. We don't have energy, and they're getting set for the AI because they're going to create so much electricity. And we're not going to be able to do it, but you'll do it if I have it, because that's an emergency. We have to be able to compete with China and other countries that are able to create new energy if they want to, and they're going to want to, and they do want to. But they're building at least 1 coal plant a week. Germany, as you know, went a little bit like us, and that was the end of Angela because their whole economy crashed. And their new government is building coal plants all over the place. They're building brand new coal plants, nuclear plants, and other things because Germany was going to fail. So why are we following these countries that tried it and failed? And they're smart countries. They tried it, they failed. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we creating great energy plants, great sources of energy, instead of playing this game with wind that is ruining everything, killing all your birds, destroying the fields, all these gorgeous fields. You got windmills all over the place, and you have birds. You want to see a bird cemetery? Just go under a windmill. You see thousands of birds dead. The bald eagle, if you kill an eagle, they put you in jail for years. And yet these windmills knock them out like nothing. And nothing happens.
They ain't took no women reproductive rights away.
It's a green scam. It's a shame. Look, I'm all for clean energy. I want clean water. I want clean air. But you can't destroy your country over it. You just can't do that. We want to stop wasteful spending and big government special interest giveaways. You have giveaways. You have some of these people that are giving. Look, they're not giving millions and millions of dollars to politicians because they like their policy. They're giving it because they made deals. They're going to take over lots of different things in our country. They're going to build windmills as an example. They're going to build big solar fields that take up half the desert. Massive solar fields, and I'm a big fan of solar, but it can't.
How you know what a bird know not to do? Are you a bird?
Plants. We got to get them going, and the only thing that can do that is fossil fuel right now. And the only thing that can make electricity, which we all want, is right now fossil fuel and nuclear. And nuclear has its place, a very big place in our country, very big place. China is going with nuclear. France has been going with nuclear for many years. We want to end the Biden-Harris electrical vehicle mandate. We have to get rid of the electric vehicle mandate. And look, Elon endorsed me strongly, the most powerful endorsement.
Right, and Elon
4 times the other night during
have electric cars. That should tell you something.
A chat that was very well listened to and attended. We know that, right? Broke every
I was
single
there.
record, I think, in history.
My live got 150,000
I
views.
said, I have one problem. I'm all for the electric car, but it's a very small percentage. I think the electric car is incredible. I think what you've done is incredible.
Right, it is.
But some people are going to want gasoline-propelled cars. They're going to want hybrids. They're going to want other types of cars. And Elon, they're going to have to do that. And he understands that fully. And I think he was amazed by this electric vehicle mandate. They want it for trucks, too. If you do it for trucks, you're not going to have any. You talk about a supply chain problem. A truck going from New York to Los Angeles
On
with
electric.
will have to stop 6 times for long periods of time. If you have diesel fuel, it goes all the way, and you can even come a piece of the way back before you have to reload. And with diesel, the truck gets lighter because you're using up the fuel. With the electric, it stays at a heavy weight. An electric truck is 2.5 times heavier than what we would call our traditional trucks. And a man from a company said to me, you know, sir, I've been buying trucks. For 50 years, I've been buying them, and every single year they got better and bigger and stronger and more powerful and more efficient, more fuel efficient. And now we build apartments in the truck, sir, and you would be proud to stay in those apartments. And then I say, I don't know if I would, but I know exactly what he meant. Those big, he said, it's incredible, the trucks. I said, who builds the best truck? He didn't tell me. He said, they all do. You have 4 companies, 5 companies. They all do, sir. They build great ones. He said, but for 50 years, they got better. Every year, I started off with 1 truck. I said, how many trucks do you have now? 27,000. I said, 27,000? And all big ones. He's the biggest. This is the biggest. He said, for 50 years, I've been buying, and every single year, they got better, more efficient, stronger. He said, if they make us buy electric trucks, we will go back 70 years because the truck is worse than the one we had 50 years ago. And he said, I won't partake in it. They want people, they want the truckers.
I'll talk in a minute, Luke the artist.
One other thing, the truck is heavier and the battery is much larger than the tanks. And the battery would take up about half of the payload. Think of that. But just as importantly, the battery and all that goes into electric is much heavier. So all y'all
truck drivers, y'all getting electric trucks?
2.5 times more than a normal truck fired up by diesel. And he said, if that's the case, sir, you would have to rebuild every single bridge and road in America because the weight is so enormous. It wouldn't be able to go on the bridges and all of the different weight-bearing roads in America. I said, did you explain this to the people? I mean, you know, a 5-year-old child, if he was hearing these things, it doesn't go far. It takes too much room. You don't have any room left for anything. It's almost the whole thing would be carrying a battery. Does anybody explain this to these people? We do explain it. They know it very well. At the end of the meeting, they say, we don't care. Just start making your electric truck. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it, he said. So we're going to repeal all that. We're going to repeal Kamala's regulatory onslaught, saving households an estimated $5,000 a year at a minimum. The massive tax cuts and no tax on tips. We're going to make sure it gets done. She's not going to get it done. She didn't hear about it until
I
said it. And then she went out and she went and did it. And the other thing, no tax on Social Security. We're not going to have seniors who
ain't making nothing up.
By inflation pay tax on Social Security, and we'll get through it through growth. We have tremendous growth potential in this country, but not with these people running it, because all they're going to do is take away, and they want to take away your growth and your growth potential. Again, I say it all the time, we're a nation in decline. We're a failing nation. Right now, we're a failing nation, and we're going to soon be a great nation again.
Hit the like button.
Another thing we're going to do, having to do with a lot of reasons, a lot of things, and the economy in particular, we're going to seal the border. We're going to stop the invasion. We're going to send the illegal aliens back home. We're going to bring down the cost of health care and housing. We're going to make sure that Social Security is not going to be increased in terms of years, where people have to wait much longer.
Right, you're going to be 80 years old before you can get Social Security.
We have an obligation to take care of these people. And just so you know, I didn't do it in 4 years. I never even thought about doing it in 4 years. And they probably don't want to do it.
Well, if they bots, I didn't pay for them, so I don't care.
Because a lot of the people that are coming in are being signed into Medicare. They're being signed into Social Security. And it's just going to explode. And it's going to happen very fast, and it's going to be very ugly. It's not going to happen with us. We're going to open up tracts of federal land for housing construction. We desperately need housing for people who can't afford what's going on now.
Right, trying to take my housing and give it to immigrants.
The restrictions and regulations. You know, in California, 50% the cost of a house is regulations. They have to adhere to regulations that bring the cost of the house up by 50%. We're going to bring back our supply chains to stop costly supply chain disruptions. We have tremendous disruptions. I have it all the time, and I think you do too. We order things, and I keep saying, well, when's it getting here? Sir, there's a supply chain disruption. And I mean, you end up getting stuff like 3 months late now. I don't know, all these geniuses over here, I think we can say that. I'm not sure that you're necessarily as much into it, but they are. And I will say that very often, we have problems with supply chains where I'm waiting for things for weeks and weeks. And I say, by the way, whatever
right, Sergeant
supply
Peters.
chain, sir, it's not coming in. And it's a terrible thing. Nobody ever thought a thing like that would happen to our country. We're going to restore peace and stability all throughout the world. And you all know Viktor Orban. He's the Prime Minister of Hungary and a very tough man. He's a good man, but he's a tough man. And they asked him, what do we need to stop all of the wars with Israel? What do we need to stop the wars, Russia and Ukraine and all the other wars that are starting?
Right, because my boy's not going to war.
Said, when President Trump was here, we had no wars. We didn't have Russia lining up at the borders to go and attack Ukraine. We would have never had Hamas because Hamas had no money, because Iran had no money. I said to China and everybody else, if you buy from Iran, you can't do business in the United States. And I'm not looking to be bad to Iran. We're going to be friendly, I hope, with Iran. Maybe, but maybe not. But we're going to be friendly. I hope we're going to be friendly. But they can't have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And we were all set to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon, because once they do, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different negotiation. But Viktor Orban said, if you put Trump in, nothing's going to happen. Everyone's going to be peaceful, because they were afraid of Trump. Now, I don't like saying that I said that. I would say maybe they respected Trump. But he said they were afraid of Trump. They didn't know where he was coming from, and they were really afraid of him. They're not afraid of these people. And being afraid isn't so bad, but I would say more importantly, they respected me. But he didn't use that word. He said they were afraid of Trump. And we would have not had any problems with China and Taiwan. We wouldn't have had any problems with Ukraine and Russia. We wouldn't have any problems with anything. But we will stop inflation. We will make America affordable again. And we're going to bring back the American dream. We have all these young people that are coming out of schools, colleges, everything else, and they're not going to have the American dream. They don't even think about the American dream. Right now, they just think about survival.
Right.
And I just want to end by saying we have tremendous potential in this country. We can do amazing things, and we can do them fast. We have to get the criminals out. We have to get them out immediately and fast and tough. We're going to rely on our local police. Our local police law enforcement has been so incredible. And they know. Somebody said, how will you get them out? How will you know? The local police know the name and serial number and middle name and last name and where they come from of every single bad guy that's come into our country. And we're going to rely on local police, and we're going to make sure that they have immunity from prosecution, because frankly, our police are treated horribly. They're not allowed to do their job. You know that better than anybody. They're not allowed to do their job. If they were allowed to do their job, we wouldn't have cities that have crime rates. You look at Chicago. On the 4th of July weekend in Chicago, think of this, 117 people were shot and 17 died. Afghanistan isn't anything like that. And speaking of Afghanistan, the single most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And yesterday I saw they gave $85 billion worth of brand new military equipment that I rebuilt the military. So this was equipment that to a large extent I bought, but brand new. And they had a parade yesterday, a beautiful parade. We were going to get out with dignity and strength. We were there for 21 years, and we were going to keep Bagram because it's 1 hour away. Bagram is this massive Air Force base that I visited. It's a massive base, and we were going to keep it because it's 1 hour, not because of Afghanistan, but because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. And they were showing it off yesterday, but the fact is that China now controls Bagram. China, can you imagine that? And we left. We were going to stay there. We were going to keep it. We were going to get out with dignity, strength. We were going to take our soldiers out last, not first. We took our soldiers out first. I dealt with Abdul, and he's still the leader. Strong man, smart man. But he understood that if he did anything, because we were losing a lot of people to the snipers, And under Obama, it was terrible. It was brutal. They'd be walking around and just get shot. And that was the end of them. Our people, and other people too, civilians. And I let them know that if you do that, we're going to hit you so hard like you've never been hit before. But why, he said, do you send me a picture of my home? Why? Why do you send me a picture of my home? I said, you'll have to figure that one out later. But I said, we're going to have to hit you people so hard like we've never hit anybody. And he understood. And he said, yes, Your Excellency, I understand. He called me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls that to Biden. I doubt it, right? But he understood that and he respected us. And for 18 months, not one American soldier was killed. Not one.
Oh, that's good.
And then I left because of an election where I got millions of more votes than we did in 2016. We got millions of more, from 10 to 12 million votes more. Think of that. No president has ever gone with that kind of an election uptick. Usually the president will get less. President Obama got less, much less,
as you can
his
see.
second time, but he won.
But you
But
know,
he got
as
much
long as
less.
they're not
We got
saying
10
nothing
to
to
12
me,
million votes
they
more. And that's
good.
not
They can say what they
including
want
other
about the
votes that we
presentation.
could talk about it another day. But this is their votes, 10 to 12 million more. And we left, and that's when all the problems started. We didn't have these problems. We would have never had a problem with Abdul. We would have never had a problem with anybody, frankly. And I'd have to say, you're looking at things behind me. They did a nice job. Wow, I haven't gotten to see. That's good. I don't like the tags very much. Look at that, up 46% eggs. Wow, up 65%. Wow, school lunch is up 65%. How can a family afford that?
Right.
Look at this over here. What a nice job. I think I'm going to take some of them back to my cottage and have a lot of fun. Like the Cheerios. I haven't seen Cheerios in a long time. I'm going to take them back with me. Bacon is through the roof. They're all through the roof. The milk, everything is bad. And we're going to straighten it out. We're going to bring prices way down, and we'll get it done fast. And with her, it's just talk. She's a radical left San Francisco person who destroyed the place. And I don't know, it's hard to believe that she can even be in the discussion. They had a group of 12 people that she was considering, and they put her name in there, and they marked them, who were the best and who were the worst. And she was actually rated the worst of the 12. They had 12 plus her, 13 people. And they worst. Now, 6 weeks ago, she was considered to be a failed vice president and a failed administration, a disaster. And now all of these people are talking about her like she's Margaret Thatcher, liberal version. She's not smart. I don't believe she loves our country. And we cannot.
She don't. She gave her people $26.9 billion last year.
Come back. Okay. If you'd like, we can ask her.
It's been reported that you recently spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu, maybe as recently as yesterday. Can you clarify when the last time was you talked to him, and what advice, if any, you're giving him about a ceasefire, about ending the war?
The last time I saw him was at Mar-a-Lago, and he came with his wife and a large group of people, and we had a very good relationship with him and with Israel. Again, this would never have happened. October 7th would have never happened, would have never ever happened. And he asked for the meeting. We had the meeting. It was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. And I expect I might be talking to him, but I haven't since then.
Not to take a ceasefire deal? Did you give him any advice about ending the war?
I did encourage him to get this over with. You want to get it over with. It has to get over with fast. But have victory, get your victory, and get it over with. It has to stop. The killing has to stop. Yes, please.
Thank you, President Trump. You've spoken very passionately about how God saved your life. And I'm wondering, have you put much thought into why God saved your life? As in, for what purpose has He been shielding and protecting you?
What a question. I don't know if you heard the question. You've spoken about God saving your life. That I've spoken passionately about it. And something happened, because that was a miracle. I never looked that way. The audience was massive, and it was in front of me. I never have that particular graph. That was a graph on, as you all know now, that it's very, I think everyone knows it very well, but it showed the great numbers on illegal immigration. It was the lowest point we've ever had.
What you need?
And it was one that I use less than 20% of the time. It's always at the end of the speech, not at the beginning of the speech.
Next Thursday.
And it's always on the left side, not the right side. And yet, for some reason, I called it. It's not on a teleprompter. I do things largely without a teleprompter, frankly, because it's hard to hold an audience if you're going to go for an hour and a half or 2 hours reading a script. And I just talked about it, and I moved to my right, turned sharply to my right. And if I didn't do that, I'm not here with you. So, yeah, God has something to do with it. It's a miracle, and God had something to do with it. And maybe it's we want to save the world. This world is going down. This world is going down. So
all is if
it
they
could
get
be.
in.
But I believe that. I believe that my sons are very good shooters. They're like scratch golfers, better, relatively speaking, with shooters. Great shooters. And Eric and Don both told me from 130 yards. I said, well, that's pretty far away, isn't it? They said, no, that's like a 1-foot putt with, weapons like the one being used. Plus, he was a good shooter. This guy was a good shooter. He went to the range and shot a lot, and he was supposed to be a pretty good shooter. They said a bad shooter would hit the target almost 100% of the time. So something happened. And I have to say the Secret Service sniper did an amazing job. He had 5 seconds to find the target and hit the target, and he hit the target within, think of this, 5 seconds. And he was much further away because he was over here, and this other person was over there. So you have to give credit. And I have to also say about Secret Service, when I was hit, I knew it because when I touched, there was blood pouring all over my hand. I said, I guess I know what that is. And I was going down for protection. And they were screaming, get down, get down. There was bullets. And those Secret Service guys and person Kate, they were on top of me in a matter of, I think, 3 seconds. It was time to, and bullets were coming out. I would hear the bullet. I didn't realize you could hear it, but now I know very well. Those bullets were going right over my head. They were there, and very brave. There was nobody that said, I'm not going to be going there. They just, they were there very quickly, and they were very brave. And there were mistakes made, obviously. He shouldn't have been up there. The roof should have been taken care of. And there were mistakes made. There's no question about it. But
Yes.
there was a lot of bravery also. We have to remember that. Okay, thank you very much. Brian?
Listen, thank you. I want to talk about credit card debt for just a second. You've got all these
Reached a
items.
record.
It's a record.
Right,
48% up. And many families going into debt just to pay for groceries.
Yeah.
What's your message to Americans right now that you can make America affordable again?
Well, I would say my message to them. So he said, credit card debt is at the all-time high. It's never been like this. What's your message to America? How are we going to solve that? And what will they do? You know what I think they should do? They should, on November 5th or sooner, if it's early voting, which largely it is, which is ridiculous. We should have one-day voting, paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship, because people are voting going on now without citizenship.
Say that again.
We should do it, and maybe we'll be able to get that done too. It's one of the things I want to do. But my message to them would be very simple: vote for Trump, and we're going to fix the problem. We're going to get it fixed. We're going to fix it.
Follow-up question,
Yes,
if I could. Kamala's been promising on day one, I'll do this. And for basically 4 years, she's promised this day one.
Yeah.
What will you do on day one to turn this country around?
So she is saying when she gets in, she's in now.
Right.
And
What we
especially
waiting
with Biden,
on?
Because, I mean, he's not.
She in. Biden sleep.
But you know what? She's in there now. She can do anything she wants. And she's still saying, if you elect me, I'll do this, I'll do.
Girl,
Why didn't
you
she do it?
in.
Here's my one question. That's the easiest question. Because she complains about everything. Why didn't she do it? That's all I ask. On day one, we're going to drill, baby, drill, and we're going to close the border, and we're going to let people come in, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come into our country legally. But on day one, we're going to do many things. I can do a lot of things at one time. But the question's often is, what's the first thing you're going to do? I would say we have a tie. We're going to close the border. We're going to stop the millions of people coming in, and we're going to take all of the criminals that have come in, and we know every one of them. I know. And the local police know better than anybody else. They're going to work with us. I've spoken to a lot of the sheriffs. Every policeman.
Well, she can control the borders as BP.
Has endorsed Trump. I don't think
Now.
anybody's endorsed Kamala. not one.
Kamala,
I don't think
Camilla,
anybody's
Camilla.
endorsed
Which
it.
name
You
is
know
it?
that. In Florida, all over California, they've endorsed me. We have the relationship I have with law enforcement, and these are great people and people that we have to really cherish and respect and let them do their job and protect them. And you'll always have a bad apple in everything. You have bad apples as reporters. That I can tell you many. I'd say about 80%. But you're always going to have bad apples. But you have very, very few when you look at it. Very, very few. You have to let them do their job. You have to protect them. But basically, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the energy prices down almost immediately, and we're going to close.
Whatever, like I
and we're gonna
said,
get
she
the
over the
crooked
borders
ones out,
and
the
not
bad ones
controlling
out.
them. That's all
And we're
I'm
going to let a
caring
lot of
about.
people
And
come in,
other
'cause we need
things she
more
hasn't
people,
done.
especially
And
with
don't quit
AI
trying to
coming and
be
all of the
black and you're
different
not.
things. And the farmers need,
Be
everybody
you,
needs.
be
But
Indian
we're
like
going to
you've
make
been
sure
all
that
this
they're not
time.
murderers,
Hooping and
killers,
hollering Indian
drug
this,
dealers,
Indian
and the
that.
kind of people that we have
And that's all I'm
largely
saying. I'm not
coming in
arguing
right
with
now.
y'all today.
Mr. President, many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today.
Yeah.
Is that a sign of a shifting strategy?
No, I think it's a sign of we want to close it
You
out.
keep believing she
We have
both.
great people. Susie's fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic. They're leading it. Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be,
What does that mean,
personal
she AKA?
envoy,
Okay, I
or
went to
he'll be at
HBCU and it
at
was
some
Indians that
level.
pledged
And they're gonna be,
AKA.
they're
Sound
doing a
retarded.
great job. Look,
I had
we've
Indian
taken,
teachers
with
at my
all of the abuse we've
HBCU
taken
at Alabama
from the
A&M.
fake
Baby,
news
she's
media,
an Indian.
all of this
Thank you.
horrific abuse we take. And all I want to do is make the country good. All I
A
want to do is
Jamaican
have strong
Indian,
borders and good education. We want to have choice
which is not a
for
black one.
education.
It's
So,
an
but so
Indian
many different
Jamaican.
things. You would think it would be the other way. We rebuilt the military. We did so many great things. But that's the way it's been for Republicans, and I guess more so for me than anybody in history, and that's okay. Because we're leading
Yep,
in the
she
polls.
Indian,
For the most part,
Angela.
we're leading in the polls. We were leading Biden by
Not
a lot.
that
We're
matters,
leading
but
now,
obviously
but
it
I
matters
think
to
when
her.
she's
She's lying
exposed, I
about
think
it.
we're going to beat her by a lot more than we would have beaten Biden by, because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time. She doesn't have that. People don't know who she is. As far as the personal attacks, because of what she's done to the country, I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. And
What
I think it's very important that
intelligence?
we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally.
And
She
do.
actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called JD and I weird. He's not weird. He was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State, graduated in 2 years at the top of his class, and all of these different things. And we have this guy that's running a very failed state, who's had a terrible career. I mean, you have him saying they're weird. No, he's a weird guy. And she's weird in her policy. Who wouldn't want to have strong borders? Who doesn't want to have lower taxes? All my life I've watched
Right.
politicians campaign, and I've always been on, for the most part, on the other side, on the side that these people are on. And they always talked about, we're going to reduce taxes. This is the only campaign I've ever heard where they're saying, we're going to increase your taxes. And then people say they're going to vote for him? I don't know. So I don't think so. I don't think people know who she is yet. When people, because really people didn't know. You can ask the man on the street. I saw it on one of the shows today. They asked the man on the street, what's the last name of Kamala? Nobody knew. It's Harris. Nobody knew the last name. I don't even use it because nobody knows who I'm talking about. People don't know who she is. She's a radical left socialist. But beyond that, I mean, she's way beyond socialism, who's going to destroy our country. And when they find out, I think you're going to see something. But right now, even not knowing her, and with all of the cover of Time magazine, they didn't put a picture. They got a great artist to do it. What was that all about? What was that all about? The whole thing is crazy. I just want to win for the country. Some people say, oh, why don't you be nice? But they're not nice to me. They want to put me in prison, just so you understand. They tell me I should be nice. They want to put me in prison. It's never happened before in the history of our country. I did nothing wrong. I have crooked judges. I have crooked prosecutors. And they're all Democrats, all Democrat areas, other than in Florida, where you had a brilliant judge who ruled in my favor. I won the case, the documents case, won it in its entirety. And Jack Smith, deranged Jack Smith, suffered a defeat. But in New York City, everything's clubhouse, everything. I know it very well. I know it very well. And we have a very crooked system. And it's one of the reasons that New York is dying. Nobody wants to come in. No companies want to come in because the courtroom system is so corrupt, both at a federal level and at a state level and a city level. And they put you into an area where you have 3% Republican vote. It's all a rigged deal, just like Fani, F-A-N-I, Fani.
Facts, Sally.
Boyfriend. And I think that's been discredited too. They've been discredited. But think of it. They don't want me to be a little bit nasty. They want to put me in prison. They want to put. It's never happened before in the history of our country. It's happened in third world countries, but it's never happened here. And they're in danger because you create a precedent for doing that. And once that happens, that's a really bad thing. You know, in the years before, and I've said this a few times, not too much, but with Hillary, she was subpoenaed by Congress to give everything she's got. And she burned it. She acid washed it. Bleach bit, they call it. She totally scrubbed it. And then they broke everything with hammers, with fire.
She always fixing what she broke, Joseph.
And then she said, I don't have anything.
Wait till this press conference over and watch me show you.
And everybody said, lock her up, lock her up. And I used to go easy, just easy, easy. Then we won. And I said, wouldn't it be terrible? And you know, I lose, some people are upset when I did this, but you have to look at it maybe differently now. I say, wouldn't it be terrible to put the wife of the president, former president of the United States, into a prison? Now think of that. Hillary Clinton, she was Secretary of State. She was the wife of a president of the United States who used to be a friend of mine before I ran for politics. She was a friend of mine. Used to play my golf course all the time. I have a great golf course right next to their home in Westchester. Used to be there all the time. It was his favorite course. But you know what? I could have done that very easily. She was so guilty. And I said to my people, wouldn't it be terrible to put, I don't know, wouldn't it be terrible to take, and we won the election, wouldn't it be terrible to take...
If you just not coming in, then you need to rewind and see what he's talking about.
The United States and put her into a prison.
He been on here for almost an hour.
That's what they want to do with me. And I did nothing wrong. It's all crooked politics.
He answering questions
and really
now.
Crooked judges. Do you know I have a gag order? Do you know I can't even talk about it right now? Do you know that I have a judge who has a gag order? He doesn't want me to talk. And the reason he doesn't want me to talk is because what I say is so devastating and so horrible for him. But think of it, I have a gag order. There's never been a politician in history, I mean, probably for any politician for a city council office. I'm the leading candidate to be president. I won virtually unanimously. You know, I beat everybody. The quickest, it was the quickest primary in history. There's never been one that was done so early. I had people that were very talented people, and I beat them by 45, 50, 60, 70, 80 points. There was never a close race. Nobody was even close. Good talent. They weren't close. And I'm running against the Democrats. So it's a two-party system, whether we like it or not. Republican, I'm the Republican, and I'm leading. But let's say I'm tied, but I'm leading.
Yep, there are only two genders, Edward.
More than people think. And I believe we'll be leading by a lot more. And I have a judge who put a gag order in me. So when you ask me a question, or when you ask me a question, I can't give you an answer, because if I give the answer, they want to put you in jail. He said, we'll put him in jail if he talks beyond the gag order. And this is in a state where unfortunately, the laws have been very bad, and they haven't been upheld by the appellate divisions generally. Although I have one case where we judge, a certain judge, I won't use names, but the Attorney General case where we won 5 appeals on the same case, the most ever. It was a ridiculous, horrible decision where you have a very, very biased voting population, and a judge whose hatred of Donald Trump was beyond belief. And we won the case, but he ruled a ridiculous amount of money, civil case, ruled ridiculous. Now, this is what they're doing is interference with an election. They want to interfere. Look at the one thing they want to sentence right before the election takes place. Let's sentence him. Because who's going to vote for him if we sentence him? Let's sentence him right before. No. This is interference with a presidential election at a state level, and it's a state that always goes Democrat. It's interference, and as you know, the Supreme Court ruled recently on immunity, and I'm immune from all of this stuff that they charged me with. But isn't it a terrible thing? And yet Hillary Clinton, when it came time to make a decision, I said, I don't want to put the wife of the President of the United States in prison. I want the country to come together and to be unified. And here it is a few years later, and these people say, let's put him, why? Because I challenge an election? Because I want to challenge an election? Or some other reason? It's a really disgraceful thing. It's a shame. And it's a very dangerous thing for both parties, because once they start that ball rolling, once they started rolling, that's a nasty ball. Yes, please. Please.
Two quick questions here. Nikki Haley told our Brett Baer that Republicans need to stop whining about Kamala Harris, focus on courting those independents, those suburban women, the moderates out there. What do you think of that strategy, and would you consider having Nikki Haley on the campaign trail with you?
Sure. I think that we've done very well. I think that we're hitting a nerve. I think this is a different kind of a race. All we have to do is define our opponent as being a communist or a socialist or somebody that's going to destroy our country. I fought Nikki very hard. I beat her in her own state by legendary numbers. And I get along with her fine. I appreciate that she endorsed me and all of that. No, I think that, I think relatively to what they're doing and how radical they are and how in many ways how sick they are, I think I'm doing a very calm campaign. I mean, we're here. There's no shouting. Now, you'll say he ranted and raved, but not you. But some of you will say he ranted and raved. I didn't rant and rave. I'm a very calm person, believe it or not. If I wasn't,
hit the like button or the
probably
dislike.
wouldn't be around anymore, probably wouldn't be around. But no, I
It's
think
2,000 of y'all
it.
in here watching.
I have to do it my way. I ran against her, and I did it my way. People said I should maybe do it a different way, but I won in South Carolina by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. It wasn't even close. And I think she's a good woman. I'd love to have her support. Yeah, she gave me support, but I'd love to have her go around and campaign.
Quick follow-up on the economy. You mentioned this in your remarks. Vice President Kamala Harris wants to put a ban on price gouging. Do you think that the federal government should be responsible for determining food prices?
Well, not only responsible, they probably can't do it legally, and that will drive up prices. She wants no fracking. Now, she may go and change that. I think she's already changed it. But she wants to have no fracking. I want no fracking. But for her whole life, she said that. No fracking. Then about, I don't know when, a couple of months ago, all of a sudden when she started looking at polls, remember this, she all of a sudden says fracking. I don't think I won Pennsylvania, and I did much better the second time.
He was
I won
already
in 2016,
president.
Did much better the second time. I know Pennsylvania very well. I don't think there's any way in hell that somebody that's intelligent living in Pennsylvania is going to vote for somebody that basically will eventually end fracking, end fossil fuel. So whether it's Oklahoma or Texas or Pennsylvania, a big energy state, people don't realize that 350,000 people work in that industry. But maybe more importantly, they don't want to pay $9 a gallon for gasoline. So, no, I think that she's made statements. I don't know how you get out of it. I don't know how you can say for 10 years there'll be no fracking. I mean, we have tapes of her laughing at the stupidity of the question. Of course I'm not going to allow fracking. Then all of a sudden, a few months ago, she comes out in favor of, oh yes, I'd allow fracking. I don't think anybody in Pennsylvania will be, I think she's going to do very badly in Pennsylvania. You have to frack. We need the energy, and Pennsylvania needs the jobs, but Pennsylvania needs the energy also. That energy is going to support our new system for AI and all of the other modern things that need massive amounts of electricity and energy, massive. So it's a very good question, actually. But we have to unify as a country. We have to come together, and I think we can. You know, I get that question oftentimes, and I used to think maybe there's no way because some people want a border, some people don't want a border. Most people do want a border, but there's such a difference in people. But just before COVID coming out, so 3 years, we went a long period of time, and we had an economy going the likes of which no country had ever seen before. I think you would agree. There's never been anything like it. And people were coming together. People were calling me I would call them radical left, but I would say very liberal people, very progressive people. They came to me, we would like to get together. In fact, we worked out criminal justice reform. I was the only one that could have done that. I won criminal justice reform, and I got that for black leaders that came to see me. Criminal justice reform. Obama couldn't do it. Biden wouldn't even try, but nobody could do it. I got that done, and I got conservative votes to get it done. They needed at least 5 very conservative votes. It was very hard to do. I got that done. Our country was coming together, and I can tell you the story of criminal justice reform. When you do that, that means that's a big step. But I was seeing people that were not seeable, that I wouldn't want to see them, and they wouldn't want to see me. And all of a sudden, I was having lunch with people that, if I told you who they were, you wouldn't even believe it. Our country was coming together. Success was bringing our country together. And it can be done. Success will bring our country together again. It can be done. It was an amazing phenomenon. And I used to say, I don't know, it's awfully tough to get it together. I've never seen anything like it. Like, for instance, me getting criminal justice reform done. And I did that with Democrats and some very conservative Republicans who said it's very unfair where people are staying in jail for 35, 40 years. And today they wouldn't even be charged with a crime for what they did. And we got it done, and I was very proud of it. But our country was coming together. The black population had the best numbers they've ever had on jobs, on income, on everything. The Hispanic population had the best numbers. Asian population, men, women, young people with diplomas from the best schools, Harvard, MIT, the Wharton School of Finance, they're all coming together. And everybody was happy. And young people without a high school diploma. The best MIT students and people without a diploma were all working. They were making more money than they've ever made. There wasn't one group that wasn't doing better than it was the year before, 2 years before, or 10 years before. It was the best our country had ever done, and we were leapfrogging China. China didn't have a chance. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. Hundreds of billions of dollars. No president ever took in 10 cents. And what happened was an amazing thing. We had a great, successful country, and our country was unifying. It was the first time anyone's seen it, but our country was unifying.
Some of the polling out there. I know you're saying that you're leading in some polling, but there is other polling out there. Fox's poll out just yesterday has you up by just 1 point. How do you break away?
And Fox News has always been my worst poll, believe it or not. And even Fox News had me up by 1 or 2 points yesterday. Came out, I think, 2 points, 1 point. I also think, I tend to poll low. In some cases, really low. In 2016, I was polling low because people didn't want to say who they're voting for. I don't know if that's supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. And we did very well in 2016.
He's not losing.
We did much better in 2020, much better, but bad things happened. Through COVID, very bad things happened. So we're not happy about that. Yes, I've seen you around a little bit, so go ahead, please.
Mr. President, thank you for
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you talked about how COVID from China was a fence too far. What's your plan for holding China accountable if you get reelected?
Well, I want to get along with China. I had a great relationship with President Xi. We made a fantastic trade deal, $50 billion of farm products and manufacturing products they had to buy here, and they were adhering to it. They don't adhere to it anymore because they don't respect Harris or Biden. But as you know, we signed a trade deal with China, and it was actually better than even the USMCA. It was a great trade deal. China had to buy 50 billion, not 15 billion, not anything else, $50 billion. And it was a great trade deal. I think that that's one of the underrated things. I think we'll have a great relationship with China. I hope we're going to have a great relationship, but it's got to be a fair relationship. China was taking advantage of the country for years, but so was every other country, in all fairness to China. Every single country was taking advantage of the United States. I can't think of one country where we were doing better than them. Japan was taking, Abe was my dear friend, one of the great men, great leader. But all of these countries were, I used to say, who signs these agreements? It's amazing that we economically survived because we had such bad negotiators or people were getting paid off. I actually looked at some deals. I'd say nobody could be so stupid to sign a deal that's so one-sided. Whoever made this deal has been paid off. And then I'd look into it a little bit, and all of a sudden he's working as an agent for that country 3 years later, 5 years later. Now, we changed a lot of those deals. South Korea, we changed the South Korea deal. We made it from a horrible deal to a good deal. I changed the Japan deal. But I made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth. They never bought anything like that. In fact, there was a misunderstanding. When I said the people were negotiating, what number are we talking about? They said 15. I thought they said 50. So when they came back to me, they said, sir, we're all set to get it going. I said, good, what's the number? 15. I said, you told me 50. Why are we going down to 15? They said, no, we said 15. I said, you told me 50. Actually, I heard them wrong. They said 15, but I heard them wrong. So I said, go back and get 50. And we got 50 instead of 15. And it was great. You know, I really think that we can have a great relationship with China. We can have a great relationship with a lot of countries that right now. One of the things with China, I know as much as any country, but all of the countries, the one thing is they have to respect you. If they don't respect you, and you know, I was very tough in countries like Japan, and yet Abe, who was a great man, assassinated, horribly assassinated. He was a great man. He was a great leader. But I believe, and I was very tough on him. I was very tough on Russia. I was probably the toughest. I ended Nord Stream 2. I ended the biggest deal they've ever done, the biggest pipeline in the world, the biggest. All of Europe was going to be supplied by Russia. And I ended the deal. It was dead. And then Biden comes in and approves it. And they say, oh, I was nice to Russia. No. Putin actually said to me one time, you know, if you're supposed to be, like, friendly with me, I would hate like hell for you to be angry at me because you are brutal. Think of it. Not only that, the sanctions, but forget the sanctions. I ended Nord Stream 2. The pipeline was dead. And then Biden comes in, and he got $3.5 million, in all fairness, from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Remember that? During the debate, we brought it up, and Chris Wallace, who's not the father, there is no resemblance between him and Mike Wallace, that I can tell you. He said, you shouldn't be talking about that. I said, why not? They got the family, $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Why wouldn't I talk about that? You wouldn't let me talk. I said, I'm negotiating against two people, not one. I turned out to be right because a year later, that was a big scandal. Why did he get $3.5 million? But Biden approved immediately the pipeline in Russia, Nord Stream, and he killed the Keystone XL pipeline, 48,000 jobs. He killed it. He did the exact opposite of what he should have done. Yes, please. I know you had your hand up. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for taking my question. You referenced a conversation with Elon Musk earlier this week. I want to ask you about that. You praised how he treats workers, saying they go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone, so every one of you is gone. Are you really comfortable with companies threatening to fire workers who go on strike?
Well, no, I want companies to get workers that are going to love them and work for a wage. It lets the company make a profit so they can go and expand. In that case, they moved, as you know, the company from California, Elon, from California to Texas because they were able to get things that California wouldn't give. And I did ask him one question. You're moving a very big company out of California that's been there for years into Texas. Did the governor ever call you and say, like, let's work it out because we don't want to lose you? And he said he never called. Governor Newsom. He never called. And you would have thought, if I were governor of California and if Elon or anybody else, they have oil companies leaving, I would be calling But no, Elon wants to run an efficient company, and if he has to he got rid of a lot of people on X, or former Twitter, that a lot of people gone, and it still works. It still works. So you got to run the company productively, and there are going to be a lot of jobs around. I want it so that a person doesn't get lucky and find a job. I want a person that can look for 10 jobs, and all 10 companies want them.
Right.
And you negotiate much more than you get by doing what you just suggested. So, he's a strong man. He's a strong guy. He's a brilliant guy. And he wants to get the best he can, and he wants to get the best workers. He pays a lot of money to a lot of his workers. It's to a certain extent supply and demand, but ultimately that's what's going to lead to a great country. So.
Follow up on that really quickly, because some people took at that as you saying that you would be comfortable with companies threatening to fire workers. Sean O'Brien, who spoke at the Republican National Convention, saying that firing workers who are wanting to organize or striking is economic terrorism. So just to be clear, that's something that you are.
Well, that's not. Yeah, they weren't organizing against Elon. He let them go because he was having a lot of problems in California. They were making it impossible for him. In California, what they were doing with the taxes and everything were making it impossible for him. And Sean O'Brien's a great guy from the Teamsters you're talking. Yeah, Sean is great. I think Sean would understand it better than anybody. Don't forget, the unions are really threatened by what's coming in, by these millions and millions of people coming in. Sean O'Brien understands that. The black population is absolutely threatened. The Hispanic population is absolutely threatened. Because these people are coming in, they're going to take their jobs. They're going to make it very, very hard. What's happened in our country is very dangerous, very bad thing.
Governor Tim Walz is out on the campaign trail today, and he's been saying that he believes that you want things to get worse so that you can campaign on it, that you're rooting for failure. What's your response to that?
I wish I didn't have to do this. If our country were run by Democrats and it was run beautifully, where we were really being productive and everything else, I would have never done this. I wouldn't have done it if I thought I couldn't have won. I think I can win. I think I can win easily once they're exposed for what they are, which is radical left lunatics, and that's what they are. They're going to ruin. She's going to ruin our country. Going to ruin our country, and I just hope the people of our country, and I believe they are, because I see it already happening. But I hope they are able to think for themselves, because if they think for themselves and they look at the destruction that's going to be caused by Kamala and this person from out of nowhere, he came out of nowhere, a state that I love that state, but a state that's doing so poorly, where he's the one that signed in tampons in boys' bathrooms. He signed a bill that boys' bathrooms, all boys' bathrooms in Minnesota will have tampons. And what's going on? What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us as a country?
Right, so we getting tampons in the boys' bathroom with the Democrats.
Somebody doing a phenomenal job, I would be extremely happy. What I want to do is I want to see, even the last few months, I hope the country does really well, even though it would make it probably a little bit harder to win. I hope the country does really well. It's country first. I want our country to do great. If they were great leaders, I would be the first to say they're doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, he's gonna answer some more questions. See, I like this Trump asking the question.
Debating Biden. So it was his request. He said we should get the debates on early, and I was willing. Don't forget, I got CNN. I got Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. They're not some people. They wanted to have a debate where their mics are turned off when the other person's answering the question. They gave me every single thing that I couldn't approve, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. So they got the debate on their terms. They got the network that they dreamt of. But that was really his decision. I had to decide whether or not I felt I wanted to debate him. And I think they didn't want to debate, but I agreed to every single thing. It was a debate where they said, we'll give him something that it'll be impossible for him to accept. And I accepted all the terms, other than when they had us sitting down at a desk. And I said, I think that makes us look bad. I don't want to sit down. Let's stand up. And they agreed to that. Other than that, we gave them CNN. We gave them Dana. and we give him Jake. And by the way, I have to
That
say,
ain't even the same
Jake
ear,
Tapper
retard.
and Dana Bash were unbelievably
Who's that?
straight and honest, and I give them a lot of credit for that. A lot of people were saying you couldn't have a fair debate. I think we have that with ABC. I have some people at ABC that don't like me too much. I find it to be about the worst. George Slobodanopoulos. I have a lot of people at ABC that I find it to be actually the most unfair of all the networks, and they want to do it on ABC. Whatever, I don't mind. The question that you're asking though about whether or not the debate should have happened would have been a better question to ask of Joe Biden, because had he not done the debate, he would still be running for president, and people would be hiding him. Just like they're hiding her right now.
Right.
We
Where's
know they're
she
hiding
at?
her
What
no
debate she
different than him.
doing?
Because I believe she's grossly incompetent, and I don't think that when people hear what she has to say, they're going to buy it. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Oh, he's showing the food. Yeah. All these are high food. What happened?
There you go. Go in.
Or Cheerios? Which one are you picking?
Fruit.
Which one are you picking?
Keep going.
Years old. She wants my autograph. I think we should do it. Go do it.
Go on and get them autographs, Trump.
Why don't you stay with it here? See what's up. Obviously, some of the Lady Ghostbusters there.
Right.
We have breaking news for you on the secret.
Yes.
President Trump is meeting some of his, it would have to be club members, right? So if you're a member of his club there.
All right. So, because I went to the store earlier this week and spent $700. You want to see what $700 got me? I think I got it saved. Yeah, $700. Mother of 6, but then all these illegals come in and just giving them money, throwing them health care, throwing them free housing, our housing. Okay. So now that that's been told, let's get into what Kamala has not done. Starting with something that I wanted to do earlier. Oh, that came right on time. I'm not reading these comments, just so you know. There's too many of them. They're going too fast. But yeah, let's check this video out right here. Basically, and shout out to Dialogue, the channel. Wait a minute. What's going on? What's going on here? Wait a minute. Let me close some of these. Close that. Skip. So let's talk about what Miss Kamala has done. Okay, so we'll start off when she was prosecutor. Okay, here we go. Starting off at prosecutor. We won't even go back further. Okay, so as prosecutor, this guy by the name of Jamal True Love was wrongfully convicted of 50 years for a murder he didn't commit. And Miss Kamala laughed about it and ended up having to pay this man, I think, $90 million. But let's get into it. Trump 2025.
Attorney office led by Kamala Harris. So before we get into
Hold up. Oh, no. Go back. Like I said, this is the Art of Dialogue channel if you want to check this channel out. Oh, shoot. Did I mute us?
You introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, so my name is Jamal True Love. A lot of people know me as 10 Milli Millie. I'm from San Francisco, California, Frisco, Bay Area, Sunnyvale Projects, up the hill. Yeah, and a lot of people know me for being framed for murder by the San Francisco Police Department and the District Attorney Office led by Kamala Harris.
So before we get into how you was framed for murder by Kamala Harris in her office, if you don't mind, can you walk me through the entire incident that took place that led to that?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so in 2007, me and the homies, we was all in the hood, Sunnydale Project, San Francisco. We was all shooting dice. So y'all know how it is in the hood, motherfuckers shooting dice, things get, real active. We drinking liquor, so forth and so on. So one of my homies, Sel Kuka, at the time, he was a little fucked up. He was drunk on some, he lost his money. He mad because his girl, went to an amusement park without him, so forth and so on. And you know how there's always like a little pot of money in general. He ended up taking the pot of money and went off to the store to buy some liquor. Nobody wanted to give him no money to buy no liquor. So we thought nothing of it. It was only like $40 just in general. We kept on shooting dice. Probably about 15 minutes later,
he got paid $90 million. Go read it. It's true.
And my little brother is coming down Blackdale. So my little brother got a new whip. He just came into some money and so forth. He only 18 years old at the time. And Sale came up, sliding, profiling. That's what we call it, profiling up the street. And he ended up hitting my little brother's mirror. So I swiped my little brother's mirror. So I heard the noise. I seen what had happened. We continued, shooting dice like it was nothing. I started seeing like people go around the building up towards the parking lot where they both ended up going to the parking lot to see what was going on. So this being my little brother and Sel being like, my big homie at the time or whatnot, even though we're not that far in age, just in general, but he was like the big homie because he had some size on him, feel me? So I went around the corner and I seen, Sel with his shirt off, kind of like probing my little brother a little bit. My little brother got his face contorted. He mad because he knows it's not on him and so forth. And so I started making my way towards the parking lot. And so my older brother, he ended up intervening before I even got there, to try to like stop it and to be like, if you're going to try to fight my little brother, you're going to fight me. And for me, I didn't want no fights happening at all because, like, we a unit all together. Like, so, I came in since I knew Sel far longer than everybody else did, coming up in the streets. I felt like, I could have this talk with him. But he is definitely, he definitely lit, he drunk, and he really ready to fight. He ready to, cause some damage. And I'm probably like 130 pounds at the time, 140 pounds at the time, and my little brother littler than that. So, so I intervened just in general. Now we have a whole crowd around us. Everybody's coming out of the windows, doors, and I knew what this was leading up to ultimately be. But so one of our other homies, to try to deter the situation, ended up, and when I say one of our other homies, we all homies, right? To a degree. Let off 2 shots in the air and to spread everybody out, to have everybody kind of scatter.
This sound like boys in the hood.
That fueled Sale more than anything. And he was like, oh, Nick's got guns. Nick, we all got guns. So
yeah, this sound like boys in the hood.
Towards the other building down the block on Blackdale, and went to ask one of our other homies to give him a strap. Now I followed him because I wanted to make sure that he didn't get no gun, because I know nobody was gonna kill him or do anything like that because because we just know he was drunk. This is his MO, just in general. Ain't nobody trying to do something to him. But we know if he get this gun, then he's probably gonna do something to somebody, just in general. And ain't nobody gonna let him just get the gun without, having they strap out on some and that's what, So our homie didn't want to give him a gun. I advised him not to give him a gun. Now at the time, I'm like big homie on the block for real. I made a certified name for myself in the streets. And I don't know, when Nick feared me in that, in a sense where I was known as like this, this killer and drug dealer type Nick. I was very low key. And I was strategic on how I came up in the streets in general. So what I did, I remember one of my older homies, Rich, how he used to be able to calm Sale down to kind of get in his face and grab him or whatnot. And so I took that approach, and I grabbed him and I talked to him, and I'm like, giving him that real love, like hug, bear hug, trying to calm him down, like, bro, like you taking it too far, blase. And from there, he's steaming, but then he breaks out of it kind of like in a violent way to a degree, but not in like he broke out of it to do something to somebody or whatnot. He just broke out of it in a violent way. But for me, it made me think that he wasn't listening. He wanted to keep it going. So, I'm like, man, I bounced off and went across the street. I'm really like, I'm about to get up out of here. I'm gonna get mines up out of here just to, to alleviate the whole issue. But also,
Right.
I'm feeling that like, whatever you want to do, we can do it when it comes down to it. That was what was in my mind, but I didn't want it to be nothing, like that because I didn't want our block to ultimately split and separate. So I went across the street. I had a car in the parking lot, and I had a little chick in the car. So I went across the street, and when I went across the street and I started talking to the girl, my little brother kind of followed me to go to Sale's house where his girl is like, our big sis. And my little brother is only 16 at the time. And he's kind of just going to kind of either plead his case or to just, calm down as well. And Sale started following him, like skipping towards him. Now, one of our other men, who knows Sale as well, intervened to try to like calm him down and tell him chill because it looked like he was going to do something to my little brother. And in that instance of him trying to do that and calm Sale down, Sale went off and fired on him and tried to knock him out. So what he didn't know, or he probably didn't give a about at the time, that our man's had a strap on him. So he did what almost anyone would do if you got a gun on you and you just get assaulted by somebody. He got up because he didn't knock him out and instantly pulled the strap. And before I could tell him stop in the motion, he already dropped him with 2 shots and then stood over him and fed him 9 in his head.
Oh my
So
God.
after that, obviously this is a murder scene. There's no way this guy is alive. And everybody scattered. Everybody left. Me as well. I hopped in the whip, dipped up out of there, got my little brother, dipped up out of there. Everybody left besides the people who probably just stayed around the pillar and wanted to, that lived there. And ultimately, came out and mourned over his dead body. So we left, bounced off, went and grouped, obviously, to talk about what was, what just happened. And now put that aside. So what had kept on going on the scene was that the police came.
Well, I can't help
and,
but he trying to tell
the
his
police
whole
was
story. I
asking
mean, he
people,
was framed for
who
and
did it,
got
who did it. They
got
wanted
50
people
years
to tell the person
in
who did it.
jail.
Now,
I
the
mean,
person
let
who
him
did
tell
it,
his
like,
story.
this is my man's. We was been really in the streets.
Yeah, this is
like,
my first time hearing
this
this.
really a serial killer, like for real, right? And everybody knows it. Everybody knows he got 9, 10 bodies. You know what I mean? This is his MO. So everybody spooked to say that it was him. So the closest thing to say that it was him, they was like, oh, it was somebody Jamal was with. Now, mind you, this is a cross-racial homicide, right? I'm black. My man's who, my man's at the time that ended up killing my man's is black, and he's Samoan. And most of the people on the block are Samoan. I mean, I ain't gonna say most of the people, but it's like a 50-50, right? We grew up with a lot of Samoans that, it was like niggas, right? So, so my name kept on being, said on the block at that time. And then you had this girl named Priscilla Lululemanga who said to the police that she seen the murder and this is her cousin and so forth and so on. And that she wanted to,
I don't need to demonstrate nothing because it's already proven. Like what? It's already proven, and I'm going back to that video because there's a certain part that I want to hear.
For those whose voices aren't being heard, to see and address the causes of crime, not just their consequences, and to shine a light on the inequality and unfairness that lead to injustice. It is to recognize that not everyone needs punishment, that what many need.
I'm gonna watch this one instead.
I never talked to no detective.
This was 4 years ago. And yes, this is my first time.
Just arrested and then charged.
Arrested and charged. That's it.
Was the first time you saw Kamala Harris in person the day that the verdict was issued?
She showed up at the two most pivotal times in this first trial, and me being convicted and me being sentenced. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
That's what it felt like, a celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like. The reactions I get when I tell people my story is, it says it's the worst nightmare. It's the closest thing to dying.
Well, I want to read you a quote real quick. The job of a progressive prosecutor is to look out for those overlooked, to speak up for those whose voices aren't being heard, to see and address the causes of crime, not just their consequences, and to shine a light on the inequality and unfairness that lead to injustice. It is to recognize that not everyone needs punishment, that what many need, quite obviously, is help. Kamala Harris wrote that in her book, The Truths We Hold. Does that sound consistent with the kind of with the brand of justice that you saw administered by offices that she was running?
It definitely sounds like Kamala Harris right now as a senator, but at the time of her being the head district attorney of San Francisco, that is almost polar opposite of what I felt and what our community felt in San Francisco.
Now it's what she did to become senator.
Right now we are in Sunnyvale Projects, where I was born and raised at. Now, this isn't a place that you'll want to bring outsiders into, and a place that they don't want to go. This ain't a place that feels comfortable. It feels like you might get robbed, you might get shot.
Police were keeping files on you.
Kamala Harris sounds just like that DA in Medea Goes to Jails, padding people's records to give them longer sentences in jail to make her record look 98% turnover, locking people up.
Brothers and other people who were living in Sunnyvale from a very young age.
They already had me labeled because I'm in this community as a potential gang member, potential killer, potential drug dealer. You gotta wake up to the fact that, things are set up against us.
There is a conspiracy.
Yes.
It happened to you.
Exactly.
It's proven in court.
Absolutely. Places like this have been developed for predominantly African-American people to not be able to succeed beyond it.
Yeah. What did you know about Kamala Harris? What did you know about San Francisco having a black DA?
Nobody in the hood ever works or focused on the DA position in general, but people did focus on it just a tad bit, that it was black, and feeling like, okay, this black lady in office, Kamala Harris, she's going to understand where we come from,
Asian descent,
and have more of a sympathetic way of prosecuting people that come from our communities who have been plagued with no opportunities. This is Hunter's Point, where these different projects and communities used to really war with each other.
Jamal, in July 2007, what's going on in your life at that point?
I recently just came off of I Love New York, and also that's when my friend Sale Kuka got killed.
More than a year goes by, and no one's been arrested in the case. You haven't even been questioned.
Haven't even been questioned, no. The police was still, trying to get a conviction by all means necessary. When I was arrested for it, the community knew I didn't do it. And it was here we go again. See, this is why we don't trust, law enforcement, because it gets to a point where somebody who didn't do something goes to jail for it. I don't have no history of crime. It's not what? I have a history of being around in the community, but that doesn't mean that I'm a suspect. I'm like, oh man, I'll be out within 72 hours. They're going to figure this out. They're going to clear this up.
And then when you found out what the evidence was that they supposedly had you on.
Well, I'm Chinese, I'm Asian. Can I get along, Camilla?
They had a woman saying that she seen me kill Sarah. The second witness that they had really wasn't a witness at all. She said anything that the police officers wanted her to say, and they said that her recollection of the events was extremely credible. So that's what ultimately got the arrest warrant.
The District Attorney of San Francisco, Kamala Harris,
Thank you,
appeared
Sally.
in the
You have
courtroom
to
during the trial
leave.
twice.
Yeah, the two times
Okay.
that Kamala Harris showed up to my trial was when I got convicted, and also when they laid down the sentencing.
When you saw her on the day that the verdict was handed down, did you take that as a bad sign?
It felt to me that she was well aware about my case, and she was there to set her presence, almost take pride in getting a conviction. When I put in my appeal, the people that's fighting against my appeal to keep the conviction is the Attorney General office. I learned it reading, their reply to my appeal, and you see Kamala Harris' name at the bottom. And now it's starting to feel a little personal.
When you win the $13.1 million, it's a massive settlement. Did you feel like that was enough?
$13.1 million.
There's not an amount that could get back those 7 years.
I didn't mean to say 90.
Well, 6.5 years that I spent in prison. But instead of me coming home feeling like I was a victim, I wanted to prove that
Your daddy is not of African Caribbean.
I will not
Stop
let
it.
my story go unheard. I'm not necessarily saying I'm looking for an apology, but some acknowledgement from her that she could have messed up would be, of course, that'd be huge. You could have made some mistakes. You could have missed some things. For me, it was a big miss. I had life in prison. I've met people in prison that was wrongfully convicted. I want my story to be out to provoke reform, ultimately. Beyond that, I want to be able to be who I want to be. I'm an actor. I'm a musician. I'm a father. I'm more than this person that was framed. I'm more than this person that was wrongfully convicted.
Okay, so any more questions now? Now, I know y'all didn't want to hear his story, but I want to hear the story because I want to hear how they got these people that wasn't even there to say all he did it when they knew he didn't do it. Let the person that did it to go free to keep her conviction rate up. Like, what? Come on now. So we're going to listen to a little bit more of his story before we get into what Kamala did from... This was from D.
So my name kept on being...
This was as DA to become senator. Now, then after that, we're going to go into what she did as senator to become VP. Oh, yeah. We on it. We on... Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, said on the block at that time. And then you had this girl named Priscilla Lululemanga, who said to the police that she's seen the murder and this is her cousin and so forth and so on, and that she wanted to cooperate. So they snuck her out the back of the house and took her to the police station. When they took her to the police station, they walked her inside of the police station. Now, mind you, how I know this is because what ultimately came out in my civil trial later. So she came into the police station with the two detectives. Before they even got to the precinct, Ingleside Station, they already had this clipboard with my face on it, right? And who testified to this is this kid by the name of Oliver Barcenas, who was like 16 years old, 17 years old at the time. And I'll show you how Oliver comes back in later. But he testified to remembering this last name True Love being said while he was at the police station. And they were pointing at this clipboard of a mugshot and repeating to this girl, was it this guy? Something that starts with a J, True Love. And the girl kept on saying, no, it wasn't him. So, no, it wasn't him. Now, what they ended up doing with frustration was take her to the back where there's a lot of different mug shots on the wall. The mug shots on the wall had various of people's faces, including mine. The same mug shot that was on the clipboard. And they said, point at the person if you recognize them on this board, whoever you recognize. And she went ahead and pointed at my little brother's picture and was like, yes, he was the guy being chased. So what she perceived in her mind that my little brother was being chased by Cell. She also pointed, and now my picture, my mugshot is right above my little brother's. She doesn't point at it at all. She went on to point at my older brother's picture as well and said that he was there on the scene, and his picture was like 2 pictures away from mine. So she wrote a statement and said, you know, what she said and what she's seen, and it was pretty accurate on what she's seen, to be honest, right? But the thing was, it wasn't me, right? And so, so from there, they never brought up any charges because she didn't say that I did it. So after about 2 days of all of this stuff going on, right? What's happening on my end is me trying to bridge this gap between who's responsible on who did it and why people feel like I should have did something about it because that was my man's, and why me and my crew should have did something about it. Now, my man's who ended up killing Cell, he's not from our block, right? But, you know, he's from our hood, and our hood, Sunnydale Projects, is really separated by probably about five different cliques, either by streets or proximity of the projects, being up the hill, Trey 4, you got down the hill, 42nd, the borderline, 1800.
Let me get to the
who I was dwindling away. And I was having, you know, homesickness. I wanted to get back to the block. I wanted to get back, you know, to my people. I seen my homie Cell funeral on YouTube, and, you know, and I cried. And I'm like, damn, y'all hate me, but I don't feel that way towards y'all. But it got to the point, you know, after a year that Halloween was coming up, and I was ready to show up. So after a year, I came back. I was in Seaside, Monterey. Now, in between that time, well, I'll get to that. So I'm at Seaside, Monterey. It's like a couple days before Halloween. And, you know, I go down to the beach, and I got a big blunt. I smoke, and I pray to God. I'm like, God, whatever ends up, you know, happening on this next day on Halloween, when I do my pop-up, you know, let it be your will. And I smoked, and I prayed, and I talked to God. And God talks back to me in, you know, ways of my actions and ways of my thoughts. So I went to the house. Next day, I get into it with my son's grandmother because, you know, she wanted us to pay her money and so on and so on. And she was mad. So she ended up calling the police. Police came, and they asked me for my ID, gave them my ID. You know, they ran my name, and next thing you know, they pull out the strap, and they say, get down, get down. I'm like, yo, what the f going on? And they put me in the back of the car, and they say that they got a warrant for you out of San Francisco for a murder. Now, I thought that it was just, you know, I thought that was just, you know, a formality that they were trying to get me in to ultimately interview me, right? I had no idea at the time.
Child's grandmother called the police. That's how they got this warrant.
That I did it, and I definitely didn't know at the time that there was another girl saying that I did it, which ended up being the reason why they got the arrest warrant. So a week before I got arrested, like 2 weeks before I got arrested, the police, the detectives had arrested this girl named Letitia. They pulled her over. She's a schizophrenic. She's a crackhead. She got a 9mm on her lap, 7-year-old in the back, and her husband is a parolee who I think had a warrant or something like that. They pull her over, and they take her in, and they tell her, hey, you know, we'll let you go if you could tell us anything about this murder, this homicide that happened, since you live right here on this block. So she went ahead and told them everything that she didn't see, but that she heard in the streets, and mushed up all these type of things, with them helping her, coercing her to say certain things, which later on we found out that them coercing her, those audio tapes disappeared. So what they did was take all of her words, in theory, and write this affidavit and had her sign it, saying that she will go to court and testify to what they had in the affidavit. Now, the affidavit is her saying basically that I did it, and it was a little bit of everywhere, but that gave them enough, and it sounded credible, right? And the detectives.
Of course,
had
she was
said,
scared. She
"We-
probably gonna
we
lose
believe
her
this
baby,
witness
go to
is,
jail.
is highly credible."
He don't need a
and
better
we would
defense. He
count
got
her as
$13
a-
million
as a
because of
truth-telling
her
witness. So now they accompany that with the initial the initial witness, Priscilla, and now they have two people saying that Jamal True Love killed Sel Cooper. So that led to me being arrested. Now again, I go to I go to 850. I'm locked up. I'm thinking they're gonna let me go in 72 hours. They don't let me go in 72 hours. I go to my preliminary hearing, and at my preliminary hearing, I'm like, there's no way that this girl is ultimately going. These people are going to say that I did it. You know, I'm confident that they're not going to do this, right? So I go to my preliminary hearing, and Letitia, attorney, ended up coming in and telling my attorney that she's not going to testify, that, you know, and she's sorry that she lied, and so forth and so on. And we wanted to know more, but the attorney wouldn't tell us more. So now the city attorney's office is back to just this one girl saying that I did it. Now, mind you, what I found out later and what I know they got now at this point is just this girl who vaguely says that I did it. She's almost 100% sure. They put this girl in witness protection, which there was no threat to her life or whatever, but that's what the DA office used as a strategy to really inflame the jury. As in if this girl is truly in fear of her life, and how truthful do you have to be about what you've seen to uproot your life to go live in this crummy hotel, which was later debunked by Justice Klein during my appeal. And he said it was made up of whole cloth because there wasn't no truth to it at all. So what I know they ended up having was, and unbeknownst to me, which was a total Brady violation that I couldn't prove at the time because it came out in my civil trial. So there's this detective, a gang task force agent and officer named Kevin Noble. He knows me, he knows my family, and everybody in the hood. I mean, everybody knew I didn't do it, and everybody knew, for one, I was keeping it a bean, and I wasn't ratting on them who did it, right? And so forth. But Kevin Noble stated that I was in jail for it, right? Because he never knew me as like the rah-rah guy, right? His perception of me is Jamal never ran when we hit the block. Everybody else did, right? And this was another thing I feel why the police had it, had something against me. Because I got money out here, I got clout out here, and I can go to any project, which Kevin Noble testified to, in San Francisco, and know the Nick that's there. That really fooled me, which he testified to, seeing me in, like, for instance, Hunters Point, who we had a long history of warring with, another project area of San Francisco. He testified to, I seen Jamal, over in Hunters Point, over on Harbor Road, and I pulled up like, yo, what are you doing here? They're gonna kill you. And he testified, Jamal told me that, hey, I got a player's pass. I'm good anywhere. And I wrote that down, and that's what I told everybody else. Like, damn, Jamal does have a player's pass because I used to see him everywhere. Now, so Kevin Noble, back to the story, came to the DA's office with information from another witness who said that I didn't do it, and it was this person. And they presented to him the person who did it, right? And since they already had this girl saying that I did it, they shoved it under the rug and act like it wasn't there, act like they never got this information. Now, the only way I get this information is because of Kevin Noble testified to it in my civil trial. Also, when I look at the original homicide file, right, and a lot of people say, how is Kamala Harris, for instance, attached to your case when she was just a district attorney? She didn't argue it, right? Well, the district attorney doesn't argue cases. But when murder cases come in, right, they look at them, the homicide file, they see what the case lies, what lies in the case, and they delegate it to their ADA. They delegate it to the prosecutors around, right, the ones that's actually arguing. But to say that she didn't know about my case is to say that she didn't pay attention to no murder cases, which mine was a high-profile murder case out of San Francisco, right? Now, if me, a layman, can see inside of the original homicide file, which I ended up getting in my civil trial, but in the homicide file that they gave me originally, that was in black and white, there's these 2 pages that stood out, and it was the autopsy, right? I think her name was something Moffitt. It was her name, and then as if there was notes there, but there was no notes, right? And then the other page was a page where it spoke about the ballistics, right? The shell casings and where they were, right? And you see that it was like these 4 what they call doodles there, right? And I identified it as them trying to figure out why is the shell casings over here when 95% of guns shoot from the right side of the barrel, and the shell casings would have been in the street and not all the way over here. So if her testimony is said to be true, then the shell casings would be over here. So when you look at the original homicide file, you see that the detectives were writing in pen, pencil, and marker. So in my civil trial, right now, mind you, this is all the stuff that they have, right? I don't find this stuff out until my civil trial.
Right.
When you go directly to that paper, you can look at the paper without even putting it in a light and see that the trajectory of the bullet wounds, the information was erased. It was written in pencil and it was erased because the trajectory of the bullet wounds hurted their case, right? And because there's no way that she says that the shooting happened in this at this angle, but the bullet wounds are coming from a different angle. So they erased it. Now, on that other page where they said they were doodling, when you take that page and put it up to the light, you see that they had 9 little dots representing the shell casings in a row. They couldn't understand why these shell casings were in a row on the opposite side of where the witness says that the shooting ultimately happened. Now, we don't know these things when I'm going to my original trial, right? But we went, at her when it comes down to, her identity, and so forth and so on of what she said she's seen, which ultimately got better over time. She ended up saying, I'm 100% sure that this is the person over time. And this is after she was paid. I ain't gonna say paid as in here, take this cash, but she was put into hotels, housing, gave food. They gave her sister $10,000 to move her. Like they did all of these things to certify her as being in witness protection, right? And if you're poor in the projects, and they're pouring towards your emotions, and you're trying to do the right thing as well, you start eating that stuff, and that's exactly what she did. She ate it up. So in my preliminary hearing, back to my preliminary hearing, they put her on the stand. She said that I did it. It bounded me over to trial. Went to trial and fought it. It was a good fight. We put up a good defense. Christopher Shea, he was my attorney. RIP to him. He just recently had a heart attack and died, which is crazy. Yeah, we ended up losing. And after I lost, got convicted, whether the sentence came in,
50 years.
Obviously, the courtroom is full. I know who this lady Kamala Harris is, right? People in the projects knew who she was because she was a black district attorney.
She's not black.
And we thought that we had a black district attorney in office.
She's not black.
And who we perceived to be black.
Yeah,
right?
thank you.
That will have that's from Oakland. And that's all we kind of knew. And we would think that, that she would, be a little bit more favorable to us. Now, during my trial, I didn't even think of this lady, just in general. I just knew that she was the head DA. They never came and tried to talk to me or anything of the sort, right? It was strictly, you did this, we charging you, you're going down. So at my preliminary, on verdict day, I remember seeing her in the back when I walked in. And when they laid down announced that I was, convicted for first-degree murder, which I already knew I was convicted because the jury asked a question to the bailiff, because they give like these questions to be clear to the judge or whatever it may be, and we get to know what the question is. They bring us down to what the question is. And the question was, what's the difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder? So I already knew that they just decided if it's going to be first-degree or second-degree. So I already came in there with the energy of like, I'm convicted. Now, they already knew too. So that's why the courtroom was super packed. And you see Kamala Harris like literally
Right.
like
So
full
her
blown
record, her
opposite side
record.
on the defensive side. And you know, when they came with the verdict guilty, you know, me, I wanted to make sure I seen every nigga that was in that motherfucker on that
Right.
side, not supporting me, and everybody else that was on that side. Because I knew, for one, I didn't do it. I stood on principle, and you know, and I was
I'm
gonna
come
fight
get
to
y'all.
ultimately get back. And I'll never forget when I turned around and I looked and I seen Kamala Harris. You know, we locked eyes this one time, and she laughed.
She
She
laughed.
literally just like kind of bust out laughing, almost as in if she was pointing at it, like ha 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 ha.
Like
That's
she
how I
do
felt. No,
now
she
in her
didn't point. She
campaign
didn't point.
rallies.
But that's how I felt when she was laughing at the verdict coming down. So, you know, I took it in. It's like, all right,
He
pause.
didn't do a crime.
And it was like, all right, whatever.
That's why he got
So
$13
now
million.
the next thing that I need to figure out is how can I get a retrial before
Sound
I get
retarded.
sentenced, right? I don't know. I'm
Did you
learning all
read
of
the
this stuff. I'm
title?
learning the law. What is it that, you know, it is? Nobody, out of everybody that was there, everybody knew I didn't do it, but Nick, in their mind, they thought of it as in if, even if you came and testified to say that I didn't do it and not say that somebody else did it, that's still telling. When it's not. But also,
So lame.
I get them to a degree, they were kind of scared of the opposing side because if they came and defended me, then they may end up getting, you know,
Well,
like
good for
knocked down or
you.
something like
Good for
that.
you,
Like they have to
Ken. I
worry
hope
about
you're
in the
never
streets
wrongfully
and so forth and
convicted.
so on, saying that they supported me or whatnot. Even one of my main mentors, who, you know, I worked with, you know, for a long time, nonprofit, United Players. He was on their side, right? But he didn't know the full story. But he had that fear in him, because he came for me, but he seen them and he thought they was for me, but found out that they wasn't, and it put him in a sticky situation where he didn't even want to say nothing
She
because
ain't done
he didn't
nothing
want to
for
get
me.
get involved in the situation. So, the next thing that happened that was huge and significant before I get my sentence in, this is in 2010. At this point, I went to this church service and I came back from this church service. Remember, I told you about the kid Oliver Barcenas, right? I come back to my 12-man pod on the 7th floor, and this Hispanic kid comes up to me. He was like, "Hey, your last name True Love?" I'm like, "Yeah." He like, "Did you go to jail like in 2007 or something?" I'm like, "Nah, but that's when my case happened." He said, "Oh yeah, I remember being at Ingleside Police Station and this Samoan girl came in with these two detectives, and I remember them saying something True Love, and that never left my mind. And when I seen your name in the newspaper, it was like it triggered that memory." I'm like, "Hold on, what?" He broke down the whole scenario that I explained earlier right there in front of me. I'm like, "Oh, this is new evidence. This is evidence that I couldn't discover on my own, right? Because I knew nothing of him being there. Even when we subpoenaed the police station to have all the names of everybody that was at the police station at that time, I don't care if it was a motherfucking janitor.
Right.
Give us the name. They
Right.
never put Oliver Barcena's name on the list. So we have a clear-cut new evidence that leads to that can lead to my innocence if he was put up against this one girl saying that I did it, and then he goes up there and saying that this girl at the police station was saying that he did not do it, and plus, like I said, the faulty six-pack lineup, you merge all those things together, I'm out. Not guilty for sure.
Right.
Now they got an issue. They got a huge issue because at that time, so I hit my attorney. I told him about Oliver Barcenas. My attorney searched it up, looked it up. He was there at the exact same time that the murder happened, the exact same time she was at the police station. There's no way around that. And I don't know this kid, so there's no way for me to just come up out of nowhere and start coercing this person. And if I knew him, I would have been put him up on the stand. So there's no way that they can ultimately say that we had an opportunity to use them and did it, and they can't say that I coerced him to say this. There's no way because it's living proof that he was at the police station at that time. Oh man, I'm talking my big one. I'm back. I'm feeling good, right? So at the time, what was going on in San Francisco, we had a big crime lab scandal, the drug scandal under Kamala Harris, where this lady that was working in the office in the drug lab was a dope fiend, and she was stealing the drugs. Right? The DA office was hiding this. They were hiding it, right? Because they didn't want a scandal to come out. It wasn't until her family, who was telling them time and time again, ended up going to the news, told the news, and it came out in an article about I think it was her niece or her mom or whatever it may be, told them that she was telling the office of Kamala Harris and the DAs that her family member is taking the drugs from the drug lab. It ended up blowing up. So what it ended up doing was pushing, I think it was about forcing them to drop like 1,700 cases, right? People that was
You hear that? The drug
based
lab.
off of it, and people that was up for a trial right now, because there's no way that they could go to trial on this because of this error on none of those drug charges. Now the other thing that was going on
1,700 people kept them locked up.
was Kamala Harris was she was campaigning to be Attorney General, right? So there's another case. One of my partners from Fillmore, Ijama Obuagu, his case. Now, in his case, he got convicted for murder. In his preliminary hearing, again, one witness. The witness says that he was not the shooter. He was the person, he was with the shooter who did it.
Wow.
Right? The shooter, they said that they don't even have enough evidence to say that he actually did it. But
wow.
They arrested who they said the shooter was, and who this person said that the shooter was. But the them identifying that person was sketchy. But they said that he was 100%. He or she was 100% sure that Ijama was there. So they charged him for the murder. Now, that was preliminary hearing.
Waltz is stolen valor and just voted for and approved tampons in boys' bathrooms.
He was the shooter. He was the person who actually did it.
What he great at.
The judge let that play on. The DAs went all the way in on it. And lo and behold, John was convicted for murder. Now, so in his motion to review to get a new trial, his attorney stated, look, there's no way that this lady could say, this person, guy, whatever, this witness can say that he wasn't the shooter that got him bounded over to trial, but he was with the shooter, and then at trial say that he was the shooter. There's no way we can let this slide. So the judge had to grant him a new trial. Now I'm looking, I got this new evidence. Oliver Boissinez, they had him down as being a known Norteño gang or not, but he's never been to the pen. This is his first time on the way to the pen. You know, he got the okay, you know, from his people to get on the stand and testify to what he remembered that day, right? And we did this in a motion to review for a new trial based off of new evidence before I get convicted.
Baby, yes, he is stolen value. He ain't fighting nobody's war. He served in the service, but he didn't fight in nobody's war. Which he claimed to do.
As a favor for the blacks and the northerners in prison and so forth and so on. Just a ton of bullshit. Like, how the f is this happening? And he's never even been to prison. I've never been to prison either. So, but the thing about it, and this is where politics play.
No, you don't have no idea what stolen valor is. Tell that to the veterans that lost limbs, that they don't know. Yes, he did. Y'all need to quit being delusional.
San Francisco District Attorney Kamala Harris convicting the wrong people in a time that she was moving to be Attorney General. You got the crime lab. You got 2 murder cases that has convictions.
No, I didn't just prove nothing. We're listening to this video right now, but when this one is over with, I surely will play it in his own words.
So, in the judge, I believe the judge, you know, favored this girl getting up on the stand, which she did because she had an opinion after I was convicted. So, what they ended up doing was not granting his testimony as credible evidence. And they ultimately denied my new trial. I went to my second, and then when I came back for my sentencing, that's when I see Kamala Harris again. I'm back in there again, smiling, ha, ha, ha. I mean, you see her now. She smiles and laughs for everything.
Everything.
You know what I mean? And in my case, she did the same thing. And I got sentenced 50 to life. And, you know, when I after I got sentenced, I made it my mission.
Well, they letting the child rapists come into the country illegally.
Accountable from the police,
the ones that release them from prisons in the other countries.
Accountable for the negligence or the deliberateness of what she did.
We don't want to address the fact he a rapist. I don't.
Around me because it wasn't just me. It was Ijama. It was Demario Hernandez. It was Charles Hurd. It was so many people, and those are all people I know that are definitively innocent that got convicted under the watch of Kamala Harris, regardless of their circumstances, regardless of their history.
Babe, I have 6 children. They're well taken care of, even with inflation due to Kamala and Biden.
the facts are the facts. The case is the case. When they undercut these evidence and come up with evidence and not rely directly on the strong evidence to convict somebody, it's just wrong. But yeah, so I got sentenced 50 to life in prison. Yeah.
And you said that Kamala, she showed up to two of the most critical moments in your trial, right?
Yeah, she showed up at my my conviction date and at my sentencing date. Now, a lot of people try to say that she wasn't, involved in the case.
Kamala should be a felon for what she did to these people.
It's the stamp of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's office.
About.
And for people to say that she had nothing to do with the case or had no knowledge of the case is just not wanting to hold her accountable, or to say that she's innocent in
Clarence,
in the situation
every day
now,
in Times Square, nothing to do with Trump
as well. When San Francisco is only 7x7, we don't got tons and tons of homicides happening in San Francisco, and then with this being a highly publicized murder case in San Francisco, of course she had knowledge of it in between the time of of her coming to the 2 dates that I said. Now, and the times that I could believe that she was involved for sure is when the case got brought to the office, right?
Of course she
You're
was
looking
involved.
at the homicide file, and she has to delegate this case to a district attorney.
Okay, so we see she delegated it to her people to find him guilty to boost her prosecution rate. Sounds like Tyler Perry moving Madea Goes to jail. Yeah, that light-skinned prosecutor on there. Yeah, she probably was mixed with, Hindu and Indian as well. Yeah. She padded people's cases with old cases that people that were dead, cases that had already been tried. Yeah. Okay, so that's what she did as DA. Okay, when she was Attorney General, Montrese Richardson case. Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah. And the same thing she's trying to do with the Sonya Massey. Yeah. She's not for you. She's not for you. She can get her Asians $26.9 billion. Yeah, she can get them $26.9 billion, but can't give us nothing. Okay. Okay. You can say what you want. You can say what you want. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm finna show you right on WhiteHouse.gov where she gave the Asian Americans and the and the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders $26.9 billion with a B for their small businesses just last year alone. Just last year alone. And $17.3 billion in 2022. But says she can't do nothing for black people, but they can get a hate bill, businesses funded, come over and get health care as soon as they cross the border. Now their baby's a citizen. Taking your baby's spot in school, taking your baby's spot at the doctor, taking your baby's spot. Just taking your baby's spot. I know I got it pinned. Let me find my little WhiteHouse.gov. WhiteHouse.gov article. Like I come with facts. Yep, family owned over 1,200 slaves and did right in Jamaica. No, Shiloh. Open it up for your brother. Open it up for your brother. One more. And don't ask for no more. Yeah, I'm being a mommy right now, but I'm still letting you guys know because at the same time, I'm trying to save my children from this Democratic administration. Give me some. Janelle, calm down. Give me some. Close the door, please. Fact sheet. The Biden-Harris administration advances equality and opportunity for Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities across the country. Yep, she gave a whole lot of more billions, but we're going to get specifically into the ones that I was just talking about. Okay, increase in federal contract awards to small disadvantaged businesses. Okay, in 2001, President Biden set a bold goal to increase total funding contracting dollars to small disadvantaged businesses to 15% by 2025. including AA and NHPI small businesses. In 2023, federal agencies awarded SDB a record-breaking $76.2 billion, or 12.1% of all contracting dollars. This represents the third consecutive year of record-breaking awards to SBD under President Biden and puts the administration on track to reach the president's goal of increasing federal contracting dollars to SDB by 50% by 2025. Last year, awards to Asian American owned businesses totaled more than $20 billion, an increase of $2.7 billion over the past year. And then also another supporting AA and NHPI small business owners, the U.S. Small Business Administration backed 7,500 loans to Asian American Pacific Islander owned businesses totaling more than $6.4 billion. So again, they received $26.4 billion last year. But when asked, are you going to do anything for the black people, since you want to be saying you're black, you're black, you're black, you're black, you're black, you're black, you're blackity blackity black, you blackity blackity black. Mama. Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying this until I find the video that I'm looking for. Mama, you want to be talking about you blackity blackity black, but this is your response. No, ma'am.
Time. So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No.
One last time for good measure in case you didn't hear it.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No.
She already told you she's not going to do anything for you. She already told you that. So why would you vote for a woman?
Y'all say I'm tired of talking about Trump made zero effort for black. He freed blacks that were in jail, pardoned blacks.
Meanwhile, she's attached to the administration.
Over 2,500 of them.
That completely decimated the economy with skyrocketing inflation, food prices through the roof, gas prices through the roof. And if you're trying to do something on the basis of what's good or what's best for black people, at this point it just comes down to common sense. With inflation through
baby, they won't shut me down. I'm the one they won't shut down. They got the right one. They got the right one. Yeah, they can call me they got the right one. No, not when it comes to my kids. No, we still into it. Let's get some more things. Let's ask her what she's going to do about inflation. I mean, she's already in the office. What are we waiting on? Why do we have to nominate? Why does she have to be president in order to do something that she can do now?
Hey, come on, man. Every time I've seen her speak, she looks sharp.
And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
Thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up.
That's a good one.
And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, the gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously.
But what you gonna do about it?
Very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up,
yeah, just retarded. And what are you talking about? That fact sheet said something about HBCUs. If it did, it was for the Asian Americans. It wasn't for you. If you're black, like, what are you talking about? I read this entire fact sheet. I sure did. And I'm not going to, you can go watch my live that has 150,000 views. The one I did last week. That's the one. Yeah, don't play with me talking about that was for HBCUs. Yeah, for the Asian Americans. Yep, sure was. It wasn't for you. I went to college. I was valedictorian of my high school, went to college on a full academic scholarship. My master's degree left me in $52,000 in debt that ended up not consolidated because they lied and said it was, which turned into $117,000 in debt. Do you think Biden and Harris trying to forgive mine? No, but they're forgiving the Asian Americans. Do you want to read it? Let's read it. They sure did forgive the Asian American student loans. They sure did. It wasn't for blacks. It wasn't for no other color. Where is it? Because like I said, I read this entire thing to my last live. Help them with drinking water because it says that if you are Asian American and Northern Hawaiian Pacific, you have a slightly higher risk of exposure to have cancer and organ damage and developmental issues in your children. You know, as far as rid the drinking water and soil and the air of toxin PFAs. They weren't trying to do that for nobody else. They weren't trying to. I'm sure other people develop problems because of PFAs too, but now you want to all of a sudden do something for them because they have a higher risk. Let me find the one for the HBCU for the person so I can get back on track. Because my girls got dance practice today, so I won't be on this computer long. We'll be leaving out the door in about 35 minutes. But I will still be on the live if y'all want to talk to me and talk about what's going on. But no, we're not doing it. Here we go. Okay, advancing educational excellence for Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders, students and institutions. The Harris administration has made great progress to ensure that a high quality education is an accessible and attainable promise of the American dream for all. From over $160 billion in historic student debt relief for more than 4.6 million borrowers through various actions to secure the largest investment of $130 billion for public education. Biden-Harris is committed to educational equality, including for AA and NHPI students. Yeah, mine wasn't forgiven. Oh, closing gender and racial wage gap. We've been suffering from racial wage gap. Y'all better read this. Y'all better read this bill. It's on whitehouse.gov. Rooting out bias and discrimination. Biden-Harris has mobilized over $1 billion in new investments to increase support for programs to bridge divides and counter hate fuel violence. That they're the ones causing the violence. They're the ones causing the violence. I mean, yeah, the division. I want to talk about something. No, she ain't say nothing what she gonna do about nothing. And okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
She's a chameleon, and that's a fair criticism of her. She's taken on whatever mantle can help her get ahead.
Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody.
I mean, you see this ludicrous accent that she's put on it. By the way, I grew up in rural North Carolina. I actually grew up in a segregated town in rural North Carolina in the 1970s, and you know, she ain't from rural South, and she is not part of that persona. They don't talk like that in Jamaica, where her family really is from.
This particular Saturday afternoon, with Kamala and all our friends, I said to the congressman, I didn't know he could preach like that.
Who is this woman?
That's a lovely accent you have. New Jersey?
You all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Why does she sound like you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that.
She's a chameleon.
Okay. All right. Shall we continue? Microphone time.
Recalling her mother's journey from India to America. Now, her mother, Shamala Gopalan, was born in Chennai and immigrated to America to study at UC Berkeley. The Indian origin senator also talked about her trips to India and her mother's attempts to instill a love of good idli in her. Listen.
I stand before you as the first candidate for Vice President of the United States of South Asian descent.
Of what?
Of the United States of South Asian descent.
One more time.
Of the United States of South Asian descent.
Okay.
When my mother, Shamala, stepped off the plane in California at 19 years old, she didn't have much in the way of belongings. But she carried with her lessons from back home. Growing up, my mother would take my sister, Maya, and me
Girl, Southern Asian don't mean black. You sound retarded.
Because she wanted us to understand where she had come from and where we had.
Southern Asian means black. Sound retarded. You sound retarded. Even her daddy says this is a disgrace. Laughing about smoking marijuana. Her daddy said he would never, and his mama and his grandparents is turning in their grave. Now you want to hear it out of his mouth? Donald J. Harris. Ain't that something? Her daddy name is Donald J. like Donald J. Trump. Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I want.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All this.
Her daddy definitely knows she ain't black. Who else? He know what he is. He the one that he said he not. He's Indian Jamaican.
You are starting to see that
Jamaica is a country, not a color. They're Chinese Jamaicans, Asian Jamaicans, European Jamaicans.
You oppose legalizing weed.
That's not true.
I know.
And look, I joke about it, half joking. Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?
Donald Harris from Jamaica, an economics professor at Stanford University, says this: my dear departed grandmothers, as well as my deceased parents, must be turning in their grave right now to see their family's name, reputation, and proud Jamaican identity being connected
Her
in
dad
any
is
way,
not half
jokingly
black. Stop
or
it.
not, with the fraudulent stereotype of pot-smoking, joy-seeking, and in pursuit of identity politics.
If anything, regardless of who you vote for, I
Yeah,
do hope that as a
okay.
black person, you are starting to see that
Wake
you are
up,
being
baby.
used by your
Wake
culture.
up.
Yeah.
This is how they look at you. This is how they look at the Democrats. Y'all want Megan twerking. Yeah, this what y'all want. Yeah, at the rally. This what y'all want.
She ain't even that thick no more.
Janelle, be quiet.
It's just very
Yeah,
interesting
okay,
to me
yeah.
to see
She pandering.
to see Megan.
Yeah.
Clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state.
No.
And you all helped us win in 2020.
I
We're gonna
didn't.
do it again in 2024.
No, you're not. In 2024.
Donald Trump does not care about border security.
Neither do you.
He only cares about himself.
Let's get the whole details of what her dad said. Yeah, what her dad said.
It was released. We talked about it. She admitted that she smoked pot.
But she can
When
lock
they
people
asked her
up
if she
for
was,
pot.
Pro legalizing marijuana.
But she can
"Of
smoke
course I
it
smoked
and
marijuana.
laugh
Ask
about
my
it."
Family's from Jamaica.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Well, her own.
That was
father
my daughter
had a
that said
problem
that,
with
not
but
my
listen
son.
to what she said on the Breakfast Club.
They say you oppose legalizing weed.
That's not true.
I know.
And look, I joke about it, half joking. Half my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me?
You ever smoked?
I have.
Okay.
And I inhaled. I did inhale.
Ooh, she inhaled.
It's really hysterical for the former attorney general of that state to talk about doing something illegal, laughing about it, giggling about it, and trying to get some traction for it. Among the people that were upset by it, her dad, Donald Harris from Jamaica, an economics professor at Stanford University, says this: my dear departed grandmothers, as well as my deceased parents, must be turning in their grave right now to see their family's name, reputation, and proud Jamaican identity being connected in any way, jokingly or not, with the fraudulent stereotype of pot-smoking, joy-seeking, and a pursuit of identity politics. Man, what a blast at his daughter who wants to be the next president.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And he added, and he had sent this
Jamaican
statement to Jamaica
doesn't mean
Global
black cricket.
Online. He said, speaking for myself and my immediate Jamaican family, we wish to categorically disassociate ourselves from this travesty. The campaign had no comment as of yesterday. It should be pointed out that Kamala Harris's parents divorced when she was younger, and her mother raised her and her sister.
But her father still had a big part of her life.
Absolutely.
Even without, even beyond Jamaicans, this is the thing that I have a hard time.
That, but it's more. I'll be right back. Oh, and while we on here arguing, wait a minute, let me get it right. While we on here arguing, I need to worry about 3 billion of our social security numbers just got hacked. And then personal information, addresses in Canada and UK has been hacked. Yeah, all 3 billion American social security number was breached yesterday. Well, back in March, but they letting you know now.
Lawsuit revealed a massive data breach, what could be one of the largest ones in history. According to the lawsuit, National Public Data, a background check website,
yeah, y'all won't be on here arguing with me about Kamala and Trump. You need to be worried about your social security number.
2.9 billion people were extracted from their database. Information affected in the breach includes, but is not limited to, names, 30 years of addresses, family information, and social security numbers. At this point, there has been no official notification made to the affected parties. However, the lawsuit stated that the information that National Public Data had was gathered by scraping non-public sources without the person's consent or knowledge.
All right. Kamala Harris.
He's giving the exact same speech. Hollywood produced very slick speeches, even her hand movements. Don't believe us? Take a look at this.
Oh, it really is good to be back in Wisconsin. So it is so good to be back in Michigan. So listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. Listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I had a summer job at McDonald's. And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win!
Why the parking lot look like that? Because they bust and paid homeless people to come to the rally. So what you thought was gonna happen? What you thought was gonna happen at the rally? Of course they left trash everywhere. Of course. Of course. Trump, when you coming to Nashville? Because I'm going to be front row at the rally. Y'all need to let Trump know. Anybody on here share this, tag Trump. Tag Trump. She has no policies. Haven't been to the border. Not thinking about going to the border. Said forget the borders. Mm-hmm. What a border video for those that's talking this. Yeah. You know. Ain't been to the borders. She don't care about the... Talking about Trump don't care about the borders. Ma'am, obviously you don't either. You the one who was in control of them. Not Trump. When he was in control of them, things were good. When he was in control of the borders, things were good. Like I said, I love all people. Just all of us cannot fit in the United States. We can help each other from afar. We can help each other from afar.
Why did I do?
Oh, put the eye on there. Do it. You know. No. Go down to the thing. Yeah, to the face. You on it? Pick it. It should be working. There you go. Had to unlock my other computer for my baby. Yeah, he's 4 years old. Know how to use a computer and do.
What's the one?
Hold on, where's that video?
I couldn't eat the 4th of July, but
all these fake poll numbers. Right here.
4th of July. Why?
It was on the floor. I picked it up.
I know it was on the floor. I put it on the floor.
Well, don't leave it on the floor, man. I think this is the best ad ever. Like, the best.
What we've been doing in that time is every day. Russia is a big good country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong.
What's up, guys? Boy Benny.
Okay,
it has
so
been 21
let's start.
days. I don't know if that's even
Here we go.
because of this. When Kamala Harris was asked a year ago,
I don't care nothing about it. Just when she asked a year ago about Biden running for re-election, she want to say Biden is very much alive. Girl, didn't nobody ask you was Biden alive. They asked you was he running for president. It's to let y'all know. I'm sitting in my 300 square foot office that I rent out to my business and write off $14,000 a year with my business. Now that's what I'm sitting in, ma'am. You better learn your tax deductions and start you a home-based business too. Now write off $14,000 of your rent or mortgage. Now. She had Megan Thee Stallion twerking on the stage, but yet when asked to name a rapper alive that you like, she couldn't name one. Well, name Tupac. Girl, he been dead. Even though he's still alive in our hearts, he been dead.
Super alive. Tupac.
Like, are you
can't come up with anybody?
Super alive.
What?
Tupac. You say he lives on. But not alive. I know. I keep just. You say. Listen, West Coast girls think Tupac lives on. I'm with you. So Tupac, keep going. Keep doing that. Who would I say? I mean, there's so many. I mean, you know.
Really so many. Name one.
There are some that I would not mention right now.
Name Quavo, you was quoting him.
But others I
Megan Thee Stallion, she twerking, you won't name her?
I mean, I want to know who one of those are. Keep moving. Keep moving.
Just saying.
I didn't. That was not.
Keep moving, girl. But you black. You could, even if you didn't believe Meg Thee Stallion was the greatest rapper alive, best rapper alive, you could have said her. Being that you had her twerking on the stage, pandering to us, talking about hotties for Harris, not hoes for Harris, sideline hoes for Harris.
Go.
Mom is not letting me walk.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
What? So her response to you haven't been to the border is I haven't been to Europe. You don't control Europe. You control the borders, ma'am.
Oh, I don't.
Border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time. Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong. So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? The Caribbean nations, island nations, in the Western Hemisphere. That is where the Caribbean is. We are also in the Western Hemisphere. They are our neighbors. I'm here, standing here on the northern
they stuck on the Democratic plantation,
talking about what we have in terms of the eastern flank. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
No, we don't know.
Exciting. It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down. We will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work. Do you ban plastic straws? I think we should. Yes. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. It's really difficult to drink out of a paper straw when you had, if you're just, like, if you don't gulp it down immediately, it starts to bend. And then, you know, the little thing catches it. And then, you know, so we got to kind of perfect that one a little bit more. Do you know, okay, a bit of a history lesson. Do you know that the women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022? So the United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence.
Okay. Like I said, y'all can go vote
Tough
for
stuff.
her. Y'all can go vote for her. Y'all want to see what the border's looking like? They paying influencers to endorse her. Umar already said they offered him $10,000 to endorse her. They also paying Steve Harvey and Ricky Smiley allegedly. That's why Steve Harvey talking about this a alley hoop, because we need to vote for her and get her in. And he not trying to hear what nobody trying to say. And you can't do nothing for people. She can't say she gonna do something for us before she get in office. She already in office. We know why you said what you said, because they paying you. And Ricky Smiley want to be crying. I cannot believe you, Ricky Smiley. I really liked you. You supposed to be an Omega. That's why you for her, because you are part of sororities. I don't have nothing against sororities and fraternities, because I have a lot of brothers and sisters from college that are in fraternities and sororities. But the point I'm making is, okay, she was an AKA, an Indian AKA, who got a scholarship at a HBCU for being Indian. I need to stop just because she went to a HBCU that make her black. Okay, well then I went to Yale. I'm white. Am I white? Because I went to Yale. Right. Right. He was all over Trump. Now this a alley hoop. Let me find that one. Let me find that clip. Oh, it's a alley hoop. We gotta get her in. And I ain't trying. Don't nobody call into my show talking about. And then Ricky Smile over there crying. Crying. We know why, because they getting paid. We know why. We know why, because they getting paid. I'm going to find it. Don't worry. So I have to get another. Cannot believe these people. Believe. Hatch to hatch. And then Tim Walsh wants to approve the bill for tampons to be in the boys' bathroom. Why do we need tampons in the boys' bathroom? Of course you can ask an honest question, Lord Master. If it's an honest question, you're not just trolling. Anybody is free to ask questions. If I see them, the comments going by so fast, I can't even see them. But yeah, tampons in the bathroom, why? In the boys' bathroom, why? Why do they need tampons in the bathroom of boys? Yep, the largest slaveholders in Jamaica. What you said, Aaron, yep. Her ancestors was the largest slave owners. They owned over 1,200 slaves and only gave them up because of the free slave, the slave abolishment act. And got paid to release the slaves. Where is it right here with Ricky Smiley crying? Wait a minute. Alright, I'm not doing this with y'all. Like I said, they paying supporters. And then the Matrice Richardson case, that's another case that was out of California. A 26-year-old girl that was having a mental breakdown at a restaurant and didn't have the money to pay. They called the police on her. Instead of them taking her to the hospital like they should have, they took her to jail. They towed her car. They left her phone, her purse, and all that at the restaurant. Let her out of the jail after midnight with no phone, no shoes, no car. 11 months later, her mummified remains were found 1.6 miles down the road from the police station. Miss Kamala Harris was Attorney General, said that there were no, basically there was no wrongdoing of the police department. When she started getting backlash, she want to reopen the case. But then until after she made Senate, 3 weeks after she became Senate, she closed the case once again and said that nothing was found. Yeah. Yeah. I'm here cause yeah. And while we at it, we need to be donating millions of dollars to my college roommate that found the cure for cancer that ain't nobody talking about, because they don't want her to get the $10 million so she can start human trials. Yeah, human trials. Yeah, do I need to like show you? Wait a minute, my phone tripping. Why can't I flip my camera? Why wouldn't the chat?
What if there's a new treatment that may kill cancer with no chemo, no radiation, no side effects? The Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation has laser.
Right, she already in the office. For some reason, there's this line. Okay, I got it now. Like I said, my college roommate, a graduate of HBCU, Alabama A&M University, where she received her undergrad and master's, and then she got a PhD from University of Alabama, and then went on to study being one of the few African-American women with a PhD in physics, finding the cure for cancer. Ain't nobody talking about that. And she did this 8+ years ago.
If there's a new treatment that may kill cancer with no chemo,
Who cares?
no
We know they
radiation,
listening.
no
She
side
right here. What
effects,
you
the
mean don't
Aura Lee
say it?
Smith Cancer
She's been on
Research
all radio
Foundation has
stations. They
laser
know
and
who she is.
nanotechnology that has eliminated tumors in mice in 15 days. Let's move beyond hope, beyond research, and start saving lives at Auralee.org.
They
We
know who
can make
she
human
is.
cancer treatment accessible, effective, affordable. Donate today to help move this treatment to human trials and FDA approval at Auralee.org.
Trust me, Auralee.org. Go donate. Because she said her research is not for sale.
What if
Meaning
there's a new
it's for
treatment that
her
may kill
people.
cancer with no
Because
chemo,
people,
no
Big Pharma
radiation,
has come
no
to
side
her
effects?
with
The
hundreds
Aura Lee
of,
Smith Cancer
offering
Research
her
Foundation
hundreds
has
of millions of dollars to sell her cure. No, she won't do it. She's not doing it. Because we'll never have it. We'll still be out here dying in these streets of cancer. Because they will put it on the shelf because they don't want us to have a cure. So, hey, let me show you the longer video where you can see where she got started. Like I said, her name is Dr. Hadia Green. Yeah, you can look her up. But we finna watch another video of her. And then after that, I'm gonna get out of here because it's time for dance practice. And I'm definitely not a plant. I'm a struggling mom of 6 on here. And Biden and Kamala ain't trying to do nothing, ain't doing nothing, ain't been done nothing. My businesses were in great condition when Trump was in office. I wouldn't have to spend $700 on food that looked like it cost $300. Nah, baby, you struggling mentally. Don't tell me how many kids to have. That's your comeback? Because everybody in America is struggling. Is that your comeback for me to not have that many kids? Baby, thank you. Yes, I have 6 kids. I'm 43. Thank you. And nobody could ever shame me about the number of kids I have. You not taking care of, and neither is Biden and Kamala. They trying to get my housing away to the immigrants. Trying to get my health care away to the immigrants. Why do we need tampons in every bathroom? Just be quiet. You sound retarded. You must be one of them plugging tampons in your butt. But I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to leave that there. Oh, this her on the talk. You want to see her on the talk? Like I said, she's been everywhere on the talk, on Roland S. Martin, CBS 42. They know who she is. They're just not trying to give her the money because they don't want us to be healed. They don't want us to be healed. It's coming. I'm sorry. Babe, I ain't buying nothing I can't afford. We're talking about food. Yeah, can't afford food. Yeah. People making 6 figures out here struggling. Y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up. People out here making 6 figures, 250,000 is struggling. You can be living alone. It costs $80,000 as a single person to live comfortably in Nashville. 1 bedroom apartment, $1,800. I don't know who that is, babe, because I ain't never called my children retarded. So, yeah.
Mama, look. My car is electric. Mama, look. You know my car. Mama, look. My car is electric. It goes very fast.
It go very fast? Oh, cool. Because it's electric?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
It goes very fast.
It go very fast.
Look.
Today, as we kick off Black History Month here at the top, we're excited to introduce you to a brilliant scientist whose treatment for cancer using
You can't hear me talking to my child, calling my child no retarded. Sound retarded. You retarded.
Nicole Green.
you get a job.
Dr. Green, thank you for being here. You flew in from Atlanta, where you are a professor at an HBCU. So that's right. Okay. I know beginning cancer research was deeply personal for you. How did your work start?
So first, let me say thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. It seems like all of my life prepared me to get to this moment. From losing my biological parents and having my aunt and uncle be more like parents than distant relatives, it brought this whole experience very close to home. And all of the little experiences of having my aunt have me in the kitchen with her, making cornbread from scratch, baking cakes from scratch, taught me how to do protocols that for me was like doing chemistry, right? Because I didn't have a chemistry kit or a science kit growing up. That was it for me, right? And then she would sit me down and have me untangle all those little necklaces in her jewelry box. If you guys have ever seen the necklaces in an old lady's jewelry box, and I would sit for hours, and that gave me my love for solving puzzles. And then I had a brother who had me doing his 4th grade homework when I was in kindergarten. And he would celebrate every time I figured out a puzzle, and I had the 4th grade teacher who flunked him, and he had to repeat the 4th grade. She found out, and she started sending me a subscription of Highlight magazines. Wow. Right. And so I love solving puzzles, and even though he repeated 4th grade, I ended up being the first in the family to go to college. Wow.
You named your foundation after your aunt?
I did. So the Aura Lee Smith Cancer Research Foundation is named after my late aunt in honor of all the women who don't have a building named after them, who took care of children that weren't theirs. And she was, her journey with cancer was so heartbreaking. For her to say that she would rather die than experience the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, it was really heartbreaking. And I was her primary caregiver the last 3 months of her life. So I saw all of this transition, and then 3 months after she passed, my uncle who raised me was diagnosed with cancer. I was his primary caregiver. As he
I have 2 businesses, ma'am, and a bachelor's and a master's degree.
All of his eyelashes. His skin was your complexion, beautiful chocolate. It looked like it had been barbecued. Oh. It was heartbreaking. And I said, there has to be something better than this. And people shouldn't have to choose between those experiences and healthy, affordable cancer care.
So, explain to those of us who are not maybe as scientifically minded what your research is and how you are trying to give those solutions and fix this puzzle.
So there are so many different analogies. So part of the inspiration was that I interned at NASA and I trained under the people who developed like fiber optics and faster cable and internet, which is what I thought I was going to do in life. And so I ended up taking the inspiration that if a satellite in outer space can tell whether a dime on the ground is face up or face down, or a cell phone can call anywhere on the planet, even in a stadium full of people on the other side of the planet, and target just one cell phone, surely we should be able to use space technology to eradicate cancer.
That's right. Target cancer cells. That's right. In the body. That's right.
So here I am at 22 years old, a 4.0 GPA as a physics major. And I had a full scholarship to graduate school, and I said, why not use this Albert Einstein education to eradicate cancer? So for those of you guys who are not scientists, I'm taking really tiny, tiny particles that you can't see with the naked eye, called nanoparticles, and I designed a new type of nanoparticle, and it's only activated with a certain wavelength of a laser. And so you can shine this laser on the nanoparticles that we inject directly in the tumor, and the laser causes the nanoparticles to get hot, so hot that they kill cancer cells.
And the way she with a person like you, I can see why the Girl Scouts named you one of their national role models. You know, you're an example for others to follow. You're really doing great things. That smart brain, and yes.
So that was one of the most humbling honors, right? So I see celebrities and entertainers and rappers saying, I don't want to be a role model. And I'm like, well, I'll be a role model.
You are the kind of role model we need to encourage more young black women to go into STEM. How did you, as a young girl from, as I understand, inner city St. Louis, right? You grew up in St. Louis, see that my future is in physics and getting one of the first PhDs in physics for black women?
So I see you guys have on the screen my uncle who raised me. And there were only 2 times in life where I saw him cry. It was when my aunt passed and the day that I graduated with my PhD in physics. I never imagined that life would bring me here, right? It was an accumulation of all the experiences, from the necklaces to my brother celebrating every time I got a problem, like doing his 4th grade math in kindergarten, getting the 4.0 grade point average in physics. But when I became a physics major, it wasn't because I was trying to be a physics major. There was this lady named Aisha Fields who became the 50th African-American woman to get a PhD in physics, that led to me becoming the 76th black woman to get a PhD in physics. And
Well, I'm going to tell you this before you go, too. I love the fact that you talked about cooking being about chemistry. A lot of chemists out there. I love that.
Dr. Green, keep telling your story because more need to hear it. Thank you so much for being here with us. To find out more, you can go to thetalk.com to find out about the Orly Smith Cancer Research Foundation.
So again, like I said, that was my college roommate. Her name is Hadia Green, Dr. Hadia Green. She is, Shallow, calm down. Get your shirt on. Come on so we can go. So I can finish talking to my people. Come on. She also attended HBCU, Alabama A&M University, where she received her bachelor's and her master's degree. And like she said, she was the 76th African-American black woman to receive a PhD in physics. She's also a member of the Delta Sigma Theta. So while the sororities are raising millions of dollars for Kamala that hasn't shown us anything, can we raise $10 million for Dr. Hadia Green so she can start curing cancer in humans and we can stop losing loved ones? Can we do that? Without further ado, I'm up out of here. That's all I needed to say. We about to go. We about to go. But that's all I wanted to say. If y'all can raise $40 million for Kamala in 40 minutes, y'all can't raise $10 million to help save all our family members. I know y'all tired of seeing your family members pass away from different cancers. I know I am. Yes, it is. Can you help me? I know you tired of seeing your family members pass away. I'm just saying. Right. So, yeah. I'm up off of here because I got to go. Dance practice. I was going to keep this going, but now this is just really about Trump going live, explaining, what he's going to do, and all that type of stuff. And then it was also showing you guys what Kamala is not doing, what she has not done, and what she will not do. Filled with some fillers. So thank you guys for watching me. I enjoyed this live. Hit the like button. Likes are free. Likes are free. Leaving a comment is free. Thank you guys for being here. And I'm not driving, but I am going to be riding. So thank you guys. I will stay live, but I'm not. I'm going to get off here. So y'all have a good day. Bye.